Hello and welcome, everybody. It is November 13th, 2024. This is The Hang Up with Matt Dillahunty. No, I'm just kidding. I just try to intro it the way that he does. You can come in. You don't have to wait.
I just wanted to see if you were try to start monologuing. I also decided to call you Jimmy the Bun is Back Snow because the bun is back, baby.
The bun is back in town. But I think it's funny that in 2024, people still notice it and say something about it. Promise the other day, I think, what were we doing? I think her, Yuka, my special person, and I were like doing a Zoom thing together, and that was the first thing she noticed too. She's like, "Do you have a bun?" And I was like, "It's 2024. Guys have buns. This is over. It's not a man bun. It's a keep the hair out of my face while I'm doing work bun. Like, that's literally what it is. What would you prefer? She wasn't complaining, but a lot of people do. And I went to the hardware store the other day, and I heard somebody say to somebody like, "Look at the man bun over there." And I was like, "Guys, it keeps it out of your hair. Calm down. I'm not gonna make you gay. Not this way. When I look deep into your eyes, you look into these blues. Oh, yeah, you'll fall for me, but it's not going to be the bun. It might be my buns, but not my bun."
Oh, my God.
Anyway, this is The Hang Up. We're really...
We're hanging up with people.
Actually, I have no idea what you said this show is. Okay, you didn't make it a Cuz I Wanna. This is The Hang Up? Right,
no, yeah, this is
the intro.
This is The Hang Up. Yeah.
Who's big on the thumbnail, me or you?
You're big on the thumbnail.
Right before we went live.
It's you, okay. Mostly because in my Photoshop file for The Hang Up, I've already done you big on that like several times, so it was much easier to just make that layer visible and make my layer visible.
But then I saw it and I'm like, look at me, like 50 pounds heavier and with short hair. Now I'm a long-haired Jimmy with a lot of
I knew your one complaint would be like, that was me before.
I went to a doctor today and he was just telling me like how good my weight loss has turned into my other numbers, that my blood work is looking a lot better. And so I'm feeling like really healthy today, even though I don't really eat vegetables. Anyway, I can't have most vegetables right now. We're working on it. We're reintroducing stuff, but I still only eat 5 foods. I wonder why the person who just, do you see the person who just tried to connect?
The person in the screening room? I didn't see. Yeah,
it was a terminated call. Okay. Yeah, somebody tried to just look out for an IP address that ended in 130 because we're not letting that person on.
Oh, okay.
It was a they just put slurs in their screening. I don't know what the fuck their issue is.
Well, the hard part with that person, because I've screened that person before, is that they have some way of changing their IP address. They will call in 20 times in a row with a different IP address and I'll hit ban every time. So they've got some sort of system.
Yeah, just using a VPN and changing their location. But at some point they'll run out of them because it is going to recycle IP addresses at some point.
That's what my thought was. That's why I was like, I'm just going to keep banning them every time. Eventually you'll get sick of it because it's really easy to do, you know?
So people, a few things. First things first, this Saturday, we're doing a big fun fundraiser event. We'll play games and stuff, but we're trying to raise $35,000 for the Secular Student Alliance because it is our opinion, or my opinion, and then I say it's our because the line does what I say, because I too am a fascist, just like our new president. Anyway, our new old president, by the emphasis on old, our new dementia-ridden old president, new dementia-ridden, smells apparently like he has pooped his pants off. And that's not even me just trying to go low, though I will be going low. That's actual like news reporting.
Stupid, grease finger covered. I mean, these are the kind of insults that these people respond to. You know, you can't like actually insult them on anything that actually matters if you have integrity. So
yeah. It's one of those things. Anyway, big fundraiser because we think that investing in the next generation and having the next generation be more skeptical, and not just skeptical, but build communities. Because if you look at what just happened here, one of the things we lost against, while there's a lot of reasons, is communities, is people want to be in an in-group. They want to be able to have people to rely on and stuff. And unfortunately, it's become very fashionable and popular to become a little fucking piece of shit fascist in the last few years. And so I believe that we should be investing in the next generation and make sure that we're doing the right thing. So make sure to look out for that. We'll do another little fun pre-show the night before as well. And come with your donating pants on. Come and donate. We're going to try and, I think we've already passed $5,000. We did a little pre-show because that's what Owen and I do together. When Owen and I get together, not only do we pre. Owen and I pre-pre'd on video last
together.
Saturday, if you guys
Oh my
missed it. It was a
God.
good call. We pre-pre'd together and it was really nice.
They let that on YouTube?
Yeah. They won't take us down now. It's freedom of speech. They're too afraid. Also, what else was I going to say? The Live on the Line podcast will be starting up very soon. And we're going to be looking for input from our podcaster or from our patrons. So you should go to patreon.com/calltheline and become a patron on what they would like to see going forward. Because we've already moved through most of the hosts and stuff. So it's going to morph a little bit to maybe conversations and talks and little fun things. But what y'all would love to see. I'm going to be doing something similar with my patrons over at patreon.com/Jimmy Snow to find out what they want Jimmy Snow as. I really thought I'd be quitting soon. I really thought I would be announcing. No, well, I knew that Trump was going to win starting a while back, but I suspected and then was right. But I will say that I was hoping I would be wrong, and then I would be announcing that as of January 1st, I'll be doing a lot less public facing. But now I'm here for 4 years, and I didn't really have a plan for that yet. So I'm figuring out how I want all of these podcasts and things to morph, and those are the different places you can go. Other than that, linemerch.com. But we can start getting into calls here in a moment. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good whenever you are. We've got, looks like a couple of interesting calls lined up already, so.
Cool.
Interesting.
Cool.
Choice word, but you know.
Yep. You
picked the first one. Go.
I don't care. Gabriel in California is a theist who wants to talk about a federal abortion ban. Gabriel, you are on the line with Arden and Jimmy. How are you, Gabriel?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Just tight. You know, it's always these like extra quiet sounding, extra calm callers. Those are the calls that take a turn later. I feel like, but we'll find out. How are you, Gabriel?
I'm doing well. Well, I hope it doesn't take a turn. But so what did I write in my prompt? Did I say I wanted a federal abortion ban, something like that? Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. I want there to be a federal abortion ban. I think that it's not something that should be thrown to the states. That's it. If that's
and how severe of a ban are we talking?
How do you mean?
6 weeks, 15 weeks.
Right. Do you want abortions are legal? All abortions are illegal now. Okay. So let me explain to you what that means you just said, because I don't think you know. An abortion includes the removal of an already dead fetus. You would say that is also banned, that they need to go via like a natural delivery, even if the fetus is already dead.
So I'll just state clearly what I mean by abortion. What I mean by abortion is the forceful termination of the child's life in utero. That's what I mean. So for miscarriages, for example, the child is already dead. They need to excavate the womb. That is at least different in my appraisal.
So the correct definition to you, and where the exceptions would be coming in, is a forceful termination of a living fetus, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So now, what if the fetus is alive and is going to be born without kidneys? Would you still require them to give birth?
Yes. Yeah. I don't believe that it's
what happens if a fetus is delivered without kidneys? Do you know what happens?
I'm not sure. Nope, I'm not sure.
Great. Okay, I'll tell you exactly what happens. The blood, because it is not getting filtered, it backs up, and it backs up to the places that it can go. It is 100% guaranteed to kill the baby once the baby is born, and the baby will drown on its own blood. So it will be alive long enough to suffer and to drown. It is not anything you can reverse. So one of the things that that has happened is this is one of the few occasions that late-term abortions ever actually happen, because late-term abortions are mostly a myth. Nobody does it electively. Nobody does it as a, oh, I just changed my mind, fickle, just kill it, because a late-term abortion is usually just delivery. If you are done being pregnant, you just deliver the baby, and then if you don't want to have it yourself, they can be put up for adoption or whatever. Now, that doesn't happen very often. But one of the times that it does happen is that a baby is going to be born without kidneys, and it will only live long enough to suffer and drown on its own blood when it is no longer dependent on the mother's body. Now, what they do is a type of abortion that essentially puts that child to sleep. Then they do deliver it, but they deliver the child stillborn, essentially dead. They basically put the child to sleep and make sure that they never experience the suffering. That is a type of an abortion, and you would make that type of an abortion illegal, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I'd make all abortions illegal, sorry.
And you feel that that is justified. You think that it is more, moral? What is your defense of allowing a child that is wanted, by the way, they want the child, but they want the option to not make the child and suffer when the child is guaranteed to die? What is your justification for not allowing the procedure in that scenario and forcing the doctors to allow the baby to drown to death on its own blood on the table?
Well, I think there are two things. I think that, we are more profoundly participating in an evil by intentionally ending a human being's life. And I would also say that
what is evil about ending the life? What is evil about ending the life of a suffering entity?
Of a suffering human being?
Yes. Do you believe that if I am dying of, let's say, Lou Gehrig's disease, and I've gotten to a point that every day is hell and I truly wish to just die, I should not have the right to end my own life?
Well, there's an obvious difference between ending one's own life.
I know,
and killing a baby.
Sir. Gabriel.
I don't think you should have that
Gabriel. Right. Okay. So I shouldn't have the right to end my own life, and the doctor shouldn't be able to help me end my life. You just simply believe that it is better to not end the life and to let them suffer. Upon what basis do you believe that that is better? What foundation do you root that to?
I think that it's immoral to participate in that level of evil intentionally ending another person's life.
On what basis do you believe that it is immoral?
What I just described it to you. I said that it's immoral to intentionally end an innocent person's life.
Upon what basis do you establish that that is immoral?
Because everybody has an inalienable right to life, and this would be a violation. I mean,
you're not talking about just a right to life.
To do no harm.
You said immoral. Rights are not morals. We do often extend rights. By the way, rights are extended to you by governments. What is the does the morality, upon what basis do you say it is immoral to end the life of a person?
The fact that we have an inalienable right to life means that it's immoral. Now, the government doesn't just extend rights, it also protects rights. The concept of inalienable rights is a tacit recognition that there are rights that are beyond the government's reach to bestow or to take away.
I love that you are avoiding answering the actual question. Would you actually just answer the question that you believe? No, you haven't. You have just said we have that right. You have not talked about what makes it immoral. What has established, forget the right, you have said it is immoral to end a life, correct?
To end the life of an innocent human being, yeah. Because
specifically human beings, by the way, Gabriel, right? Specifically human beings, right? Sure. Yes, why is it immoral? Upon what basis is it only immoral to kill a human being, but let's say not any other animal? Just admit it, Gabriel. We know what the answer is.
Because we're made in the image and likeness of God.
Got it, Gabriel. Excellent. Thank you for finally admitting that you wish to impose it on the basis of your religion, which is what your contention is. You don't know much about abortion. You don't know much about why we give abortions. Now, you would grant personhood, apparently, to anybody at any stage along the way. So Gabriel, you would 100% of abortions, correct? Including, let's say, a 10-year-old girl is raped by a family member and gets pregnant and in under an 8-week mark tries to get an abortion. You would say no, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So literally at that point, you do not even have a thinking agent. You would give personhood to basically a bunch of cells that have not had a single moment of human experience. They do not know they're alive. They've not experienced being alive. And there would not be a moment where they had been alive and now you're preventing that aliveness to be more continued. You are saying you would extend personhood to even that, essentially something that may as well not have a brain, because in the same way we establish an adult is brain dead, they are similarly brain dead. Correct? You would still say protect that life because of its potential.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many more times I need to say it. I'm against all abortions. All of them.
Gabriel, you have to we are here to debate that position, and I'm making you defend the position. If you don't want to defend it and go, yes, I'm against all of them.
So then what are you asking me? You keep going to
I'm asking you to defend that specific instance. The individual, why would you say that an individual who has no experience of life, no experience of personhood, that the ability for that creature's personhood to be met, intellectual awareness to be met, is more important than the life or comfort of, as we put in this scenario, which did happen, by the way, a rape of a 10-year-old by a family member? Upon what basis would you say that that one has to be preserved? Why have you extended that one personhood?
I'll answer that. So I would say,
go for it.
My basis for granting personhood is not contingent upon consciousness. I would also say that the child has a right to be in his mother's uterus. So he does have a right to her body.
Why?
Regardless of because
Gabriel,
the uterus exists for I'll answer that. Because the uterus exists for the incubation of the woman's child. And so to say that a child doesn't have a right to something that exists for him, I think is a bit absurd.
Gabriel, in that case, does every egg that goes into the uterus have a right to that uterus?
Well, an egg's not a living thing. How do you grant a
yes,
non-living thing right?
Yes, it absolutely is. Eggs are absolutely living things. Are you insane? They are made of living human cells. Of course they are living things. In fact, every time you jerk off, Gabriel, and I know you do, and you shoot into a sock, you basically commit genocide of millions of other living human cells with potential to be alive. So then the question becomes, why is it the potential of their life versus the potential of a zygote or an embryo, which I assume then your forbiddedness, why you would forbid these abortions, you would also forbid something that allows a zygote to be removed, something that prevents, for example, the morning after pill. It basically creates a situation in which no embryo can actually connect to the cell wall. You would forbid that too, even though it hadn't connected. Correct, Gabriel?
That's right. And I'll say a few things.
And all of this on the basis of your religion. Correct, Gabriel?
Well, if you want, there's a bit more nuance to it than that.
No, there really isn't. There's no personhood. In fact, our government doesn't grant you personhood until you are born. Can I go get a life insurance policy?
Travesty.
So you think that people should be able to get life insurance policies on the basis of that, right?
How about you let me make my own points instead of straw manning me, okay?
Well, Gabriel, because none of what you're saying makes any fucking sense, and you don't even know the answer. But by the way, I can't straw man with a question. You can just actually answer it. Gabriel, should women be should they have their menstruation monitored?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Why?
Okay, well, every year, more embryos are naturally miscarried than are forcibly aborted. And as a matter of fact, most of them are without the woman ever knowing that she had a fertilized egg. So with that scenario in mind, if that fertilized egg has a right, do we need to basically have a prison state where women are constantly monitored to find out if they are pregnant or could be pregnant, and then be prevented from doing activities that could naturally evacuate, like cardio, for example, a fertilized embryo?
Sure, I'll answer that question. First, I'd say
Great.
I don't masturbate, by the way, thank God. But
Yes,
secondly, regarding this question, no, I don't.
Needing to point it out is how I know you do.
Well, because you accused me of something, so
yeah, and you do
I just figured I'd set the record straight. But secondly,
no, you lied, but go ahead.
So
go off, King.
The supposition there is that all death is morally evil. I don't believe in that. There's like people dying naturally, that happens, and I don't.
Nope, there's no supposition there.
That's my point of view.
No supposition there. There was that you have the position that interference with what women can do with their body is justified to prevent the death of fertilized eggs at every level, including you would stop them from having the pills like the morning after pill, which would just induce what already naturally happens more than unnaturally happens. In other words, more natural versions of the morning after pill happen every year than unnatural, than actually having to use the morning after pill. Many more embryos are naturally lost.
You obviously don't know what you're talking about, first off.
I 1000% know what I'm talking about, Gabriel. No, you are the one here who have not been able to answer any science-related question. Go ahead, debunk me, Gabriel. Upon what basis am I saying wrong? What happens more often? We're talking about two women. We're talking about any women who, let's get rid of all abortions, morning after pills, all of that. Just women who would have a baby if they found out they were pregnant. What happens more? The egg gets fertilized and successfully attaches to the cell wall, or the egg gets fertilizes and naturally passes and does not attach to the cell wall. Naturally. No pills, no medications involved.
So I'll tell you what my doctor told me when my wife was pregnant the first time, that it was about 50-50, about 50% of
it is not 50-50. It is
miscarriage.
We're not talking about miscarriage. Miscarriage happens after. Miscarriage means you are successful. You're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, and you don't even know what topic we're talking about. This is not miscarriage. A miscarriage only can happen to an embryo. Shut the fuck up, Gabriel. Shut the fuck up, Gabriel. A miscarriage can only happen after attachment to the cell wall. Miscarriages are miscarriages of successful pregnancies. We are talking about which one happens more. After the egg is fertilized, a successful pregnancy or an unsuccessful pregnancy only among people who don't have abortions, only among people who aren't taking birth control, only amongst bodies with no drug interruption or anything. Which one happens more?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, thank you for admitting it finally. It was the one where they are unsuccessfully pregnant, and it's quite a bit more. Now, you could prevent those unsuccessful, and you believe, as you said, that as soon as it would appear as soon as the egg is fertilized, they must be granted personhood. You could prevent some number of those, a double-digit percentage, from unsuccessfully impregnating if you controlled the bodies of women more and prevented them from doing things that would naturally. So, for example, a woman who is having sex that has the potential to get her pregnant, if she is also engaging in a lot of cardio, her chances go down. Would you say that the government is so responsible for the right of women, the rights of those embryos? They should be so involved with it that we should actually be controlling the bodies of women to make sure that those embryos attach to the cell wall.
I think there's, like, for me to answer, okay, it would be a bit more complicated than just that. Like, if there was some study that said
it really wouldn't. The answer should just be no. We shouldn't control women's bodies. That's the answer.
I can give you.
I don't think I care. Hey, here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, I'm going to move on because honestly, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you believe your religion and your religious view here should be imposed. Right now, as of today, we still live in a world with separation of church and state. Do you have a secular argument? Yes, I know you think that, unfortunately, Gabriel. please admit to your mother, your wife, that you're a masturbator. See if she stays with you, and then call back when you have a secular argument for abortion, because there is no point in a religious argument. Okay,
right.
here's going to be our disagreement. You're religious. You believe we shouldn't have an abortion based on your religion. Many Christians are fine with it, so it's not Christianity specifically, but it's your version of Christianity. I'm not religious, and I don't impose my beliefs. No, you can't. Anyway, that's what it boils down to. This is just a silly, silly call. It's a silly, silly call with a silly, silly masturbator. Goodbye, Gabriel. What is the point at this point? Like, every step of the way shows he doesn't know what he's talking about, and then accuses me of not knowing what I'm talking about, then admits, oh, it turns out I didn't know what I was talking about, and I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I didn't, and said you don't. What's the point? What would the point have been?
I'm glad we ended that one soon, because I'm starting to feel like calls like that don't deserve a lot of serious consideration. It's hard because, part of the network is capitalizing on these calls to, hopefully convince people watching. But I don't think a lot of these people are serious, and I'm not sure how meaningful it is.
Just at a certain point, just admit what your fucking rationale is. And then if you want to say, like, unfortunately, that yes, you're trying to work toward a reality where Christian nationalism succeeds and we become a religious nation, then you can say that, and we can have a debate about whether that's a good idea, because guess what, Gabriel? You don't actually want that. You do want separation of church and state, because you know who benefits from separation of church and state more than secular people? Religious people. The only people who benefit from a combination of church and state are not even the members of the same church that the state is recognizing. It's actually just the leadership, the people who are going to make the extra money and get the extra power. It is not good for religious people for there to be non-separation of church and state. It's just dumb.
It's literally religious people who wanted to escape religious persecution, who tried to make the country that was free from religion. Like, it's just, these people, I swear they didn't graduate high school. Like, it's the only explanation for how they're so unbelievably fucking misinformed.
Yep. All right, let's talk to Perry in Pennsylvania. Perry in Pennsylvania, how are you doing? How are you now?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, it's been a bleak couple of weeks, but I suppose it maybe was okay for you. Did Pennsylvania go the way you wanted it to go, Perry?
Oh, yeah. It went red. The major cities were blue, but the majority still went red, so I was pretty happy about that. I don't know too much about you guys' show. So I came from.
We do religion and politics. I love Eve.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's the best. That's my best friend, actually.
She's great. We debate all the time. I thought she was going to be on tonight, but I'm just kind of catching up to speed on your show. I see you.
She's
Jimmy,
on Tuesdays.
And a lady named
Arden.
Okay.
Arden is my name.
Oh, Arden. I apologize about that. How are you, Arden?
Doing all right. Let's get into it. What do you want to talk about?
So can I touch on a small point on what was previously just talked about?
I don't care. You can touch on whatever you want.
Okay.
Unless it's just to specify that you don't masturbate, in which case, just skip it.
No. I think that got line too. I think everybody masturbates. Okay, so let's go back on the topic. So I happen to believe that every life is precious. I do understand what you mean when you say that.
Every life or every human life?
What's the separation there?
Every life or every
Dogs are alive. Dogs are alive, right?
Amoebas are alive.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Okay, yeah, no, every human. So every human life. You have to forgive me. I know you guys were poking.
Now, a human life is made up of millions of organisms. So which specifically, distinctly makes the human life you're referring to precious? Would it not be the brain, the thinking agent that is the brain, correct? Because you don't think that all of the coli in our stomach is precious. You don't think all of the cells in our body are individually precious. Obviously, as a human, all of your skin gets renewed every year. You have cells all over your body that over the course of a decade, most of them get renewed and replaced. Only a few things in your brain are there from birth to death. And it's a very few things. So it certainly would be that you believe the thinking agent and the brain of a human is what is precious to the human life, right? Otherwise, I don't have a way to relate to you because I don't have a scientific basis upon which to agree.
I believe life is precious, and the consciousness of a human having that life and the want to have that life is precious. So if you give me a moment, I'll explain.
Perry, just please, you can explain after you've finished with my clarification. It is the thinking agent of humanity that is precious, as opposed to the E. coli in your gut, or a cow you might want to eat, or
Sure,
maybe you're a vegan, or lettuce that you want to eat.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
So wait, something else is precious other than the thinking agent of a human. What is it?
Do you mind, Jimmy? So I understand what you do, and that's good. So I wanted to get to a small little point, and that was kind of a subject of that.
I would just love my question answered. Why can't we answer it now? What's wrong with just answering it right now?
When I had a question.
I certainly can. I can ask clarifying questions all day. This is my show and my channel, my network, brother.
Sure.
Like, I mean, what do you mean I can't?
No,
you made you're asking a question with a sentence in it. How can I answer the question if I don't know the context of the term? So if you say life is precious, and here's the question with that in there, and I don't know what you mean by life is precious, how can I answer your question without first asking for the clarifications?
If I can help, Perry, help you understand what's going on here, I just want to say that the reason we're being pedantic and jumping in and asking for you to clarify terms before you finish a sentence is because a lot of what you're saying is relying on like presuppositions that we have to agree with about where exactly life is, what about it is special. We are trying to understand that. So as you make your case, we can evaluate how good of a case you're making.
I don't even think it's pedantic, because different people have different meanings for this. Go ahead. So now if you could clarify what part of a human life makes it the precious life?
So the precious life that I believe is precious, what I was going to explain is the consciousness to have life. So like right now, consciously, you breathe in, you breathe out, that's your air, that's your lungs. That I believe is precious. The thoughts in your brain, the knowing that you're going to go to sleep and wake up, that is precious.
The thinking agent.
Life. That's what I mean by that. Sure,
what is wrong about, so what, I was agreeing with you that the thinking agent, it's so frustrating when people think there's a gotcha coming. I literally was trying to find a place we could agree. Yes, a precious life, human life, in that we are referring to the conscious thinking agent of a human life is precious and should be, as best as possible, protected and preserved. And I genuinely believe that. Now, my abortion argument still exists on top of that, but, I don't believe in restricting access to abortion, even if there are, conceivable realities where I would say that would be a dumb reason to get one. However, they don't really happen. But yes, I'm there with you. Okay, so now if you'll finish your question, you believe life is precious, and go.
Sure. Do you mind if I give a little idea of my understanding? So I know you guys are poking fun at people that didn't finish high school. I actually truly am that person. I'm a little bit of a minority. I've never went to school. So there was a few words I wanted to know. So when you say these words, I may not really understand them too well, but if you'll work with me, if I have questions.
Yeah, Perry,
that would be great.
When I'm talking about that, I'm mostly talking about intellectually dishonest people, not people who are like genuinely uninformed, like didn't have access to information. If you are being honest here and you just have a different position than us, we're happy to navigate that conversation. So go for it. You don't have to hit every word perfectly.
Ask your clarifying questions.
There is a case, and you said something that this a baby in the mother's womb before birth can be known to not, they can tell you, hey, this child is going to be born with no kidneys, and there's a small little case, and this is what I feel is precious. Now, this was the whole basis of what I think is important on this. That gentleman who was speaking before us, I don't agree with him because I didn't really understand what he was saying, but there's a 10-year-old girl called Abigail Bootler, which she was born with that DRA. She was born with no kidneys. The mother and father of this child, every doctor they went to told her to abort it. They had something which I take very, very very big in life, and this is what I think separates people of faith and people without faith. They had faith in saying, let's continue and look for a doctor that will go for this idea. So the baby was born. Her name is Abigail. She's 10 years old now, and she went through dialysis. Now, there is a reverse to that, and it is not fully guaranteed that babies will die. So when a doctor does say, now, I have a few friends, and I've had doctors say terrible things, and sometimes doctors are wrong, and that, I believe, only goes to denote towards faith. Because
Harry, I don't think anyone here is disputing that doctors can be wrong. And we're also like, yes, there are cases where people who have a 98% chance of dying survive. There are the 2% out of the 98%. No one is denying those facts.
But also I will reject some of this stuff because I'm familiar with your case and I'm familiar with the way that the difference between a medical institution versus a pro-life article shares this, in that there were actual indications that there was the potential. So in the case of Abigail, who was able to get dialysis and eventually, by the way, a kidney transplant, there is large periods of time there where they did know that there were distinctly different parts. We aren't talking about those exceptions where they actually knew in advance that the drowning on the own blood thing wasn't going to happen. They would have time to get them, because having the blood back up versus having just a need for dialysis is absolutely different. Now, by the way, she will also have medical issues for the rest of her life and was born only 3 pounds premature. And there were lots of issues. Now, I'm not trying to go back and unborn anybody. I'm not trying to go back and say this person who definitely, if you were being smartest for quality of life of the person, it would have actually been the most compassionate thing to abort and try again. You know who is somebody that I feel that way about? Myself. My parents, had they been being much more responsible and much smarter, not only would they have aborted me, they would have aborted my older brother and not had any more kids. That would have been more responsible. But I'm not trying to unalive myself, because I am alive. It's like the only thing I do is being alive. We're talking about the future decisions that you're making. And the fact of the matter is we're also getting better at catching things earlier and earlier. And it is not a tragedy to lose a mostly unthinking or completely unthinking agent before they have any experience or attachment to life, the way it is to lose somebody after they have been born. You are talking about a situation where there were medical realities that were different. And even if Abigail, if the story had been different and they found out later and they were like, listen, we do all of these abortions, but we found out that Abigail and maybe some other few others out there could have survived, I wouldn't have said that would have been worth making thousands to millions of, no, it's going to be thousands of babies drown on their own blood to find those 3 or 4 exceptions. But again, there was a reason why they actually went for it, for this one being an exception. And this is by far not the only reason that those late-term abortions happen, but also late-term abortions don't happen very often. Now, what week would you put the ban on abortion up? So
I'm in a sense against abortion, not the type that we're talking about, because I do agree with you. I don't think that, if a family doesn't have the gall or the backbone to say, let's born a baby, and even though she has, medical problems throughout her life, let's do it. Sometimes that's hard on a family. And sometimes maybe abortion is the best case for them. I don't judge anyone when it comes to that. But I will tell you that abortion itself, that's not the judgment. That's not the abortion I come against. You have, I wanted to ask you a question. So which ones do you? If you allow it. Well, if you allow it,
fine. Ask your question. Go ahead.
So this is, you have how many people do you have in your comments, your chat?
I have no idea. I'm not watching the chat or the comments.
Like 4,000 right now.
So,
that's those reviews. 2,000.
So if we can, what I'd like to ask is, how many abortions have there been just cause, which is, hey, I don't want a baby right now, I'm financially burdened, or maybe I don't have the house for, something like, minuscule like these things, rather than medical emergency abortions. And the one
I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I don't care, because almost all of them happen before 15 weeks, when again, that agent isn't more of a thinking agent than my big toe is individually. So even if we were talking about the autonomy argument is the argument for all abortion. No one has the right to keep their body alive against your body. The government can't make you, Perry, give me your kidney or give me a piece of your liver or anything, even if I'm guaranteed to die. That's the autonomy argument for all of it. But when we get up to this like 15-week mark, I don't even think there's a moral argument that can be made because it isn't any more a person. It hasn't achieved any more personhood than any individual part of your body. Arguably, there are parts of your body that have achieved more personhood, obviously separate from the brain.
Yeah, I think
but you have more neurons working in your stomach than these entities do.
I think this is my frustration with these conversations, Perry. And we didn't really get into it with the last caller because he was a lot more dishonest intellectually than you have been so far. But for me, it's just frustrating because it sounds like you are one of these people who takes this position. And correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you're one of these people who takes the position where you're like, I don't like abortion, but I recognize that there are reasons for abortions, and I'm not their doctor, so I'm not going to get in the way of it. And like, if that's all you're calling in to say, then you seem like a perfectly fine person, but I don't know if I really care because like I'm interested in defending the rights of women to have bodily autonomy. I'm not interested in giving special rights to fetuses that we don't give to any living person, right? Because that's what happens here. There is no situation with a living person, whether they're 52 or whether they are a day old, we don't give those people any of the same rights that abortion pro-life advocates ask us to give to fetuses.
So I agree with you. Now, the way if I was gonna say the things that you said about me, and just by judging you on what you're saying, I don't think you're the type of person. And forgive me, I'm going to speak a little blunt here, and I mean no offense, but I don't think you're the type of person that's going to say, oh yeah, just finish up in there, and a couple of weeks I'll get an abortion. I've been to these abortion rallies. I've been to these problematic places where people debate in person about abortions, and I've seen both sides of the fence, and it's kind of gross on each side. You have one fighting the point of, well, there's medical emergencies and it's my right to choose, and I agree to that. It's true, but then you have the other side saying, well, this is my 27th abortion, and I do it for fun.
No,
Perry, what's frustrating about that is that people on the...
That's not real.
Yeah, what's frustrating about that is that people on the pro-abortion stance, like pro-access to abortion, are defending your right. They're defending your right to not get an abortion. They're defending your right to be disgusted by abortion. They're defending you to live your life exactly how you want to. They're just saying you don't get to impose your values on me. You don't get to tell me what I get to do with my body. Because frankly, I don't really care about the personhood argument. I don't care if the thing is completely sentient. I think it does not have the right to access another person's body. If you at any time, for any reason, want to cease being pregnant, you should be allowed to have access to that. Now, obviously, it makes me less comfortable if the baby is sentient, right? But my comfortability has nothing to do with their legal right to bodily autonomy. That is like a keystone of our fundamental rights in America that are applied to everyone except for apparently women.
Perry, the fact of the matter is what you just described, 27 abortions for fun. Even if you can find one person out there that is going to mean you're not describing your average abortion activist or a person anyone's fighting for. You're talking about somebody who would be mentally ill and has a strange attachment to something that is awful, because there are people out there who also want to be amputees, for example, despite not needing to be. You aren't talking about the actual issue. You're trying to come up with this caricature that I don't even believe exists at all, but if it does, will be extremely rare, and no one's fighting for that person. But that person needs mental health, whatever. But even if that person does exist, stop, I'm not done. Even if that person does exist, they're not getting late-term abortions. They're not doing it even in abortion in the 4th week, inducing an abortion, taking the medications, sucks for a person's body. It is a very unpleasant procedure. That is why most people who are going to say, finish up in there, don't go, and I'll get an abortion later. They say, I'll get a morning after pill, which, by the way, also sucks, but sucks less than an abortion, despite the fact that some people argue it is an abortion pill. But it sucks less than having an abortion. It essentially induces a similar to the period. It is, there aren't people who are like, you know what I really want to go and do is have to have a medical procedure because I really just want you to finish up in there. But even if they were, again, most abortions are happening before the thing that exists that you and I agree makes life precious is actually present. So I wouldn't even care then. Legitimately, if somebody is addicted to getting an abortion at the 6th, 7th, 8th week, and they try to do it as often as they can, I would be like, hey, let's get them in therapy, but let's not stop them from having the abortion and make that person have a kid, potentially passing whatever the fuck that is along, and certainly fucking up the kid after the fact.
I agree.
I'm definitely not rejecting that person, the abortion. So these are, it's like, Perry, you've called in as a theist. I'm going to presume you're a Christian. Would it be fair for me to make you defend the God hates F slur movement from Westboro Baptist Church? Are you a member of Westboro Baptist?
No, I don't know this movement you're speaking of.
Okay, so if the Westboro Baptists are evil Christians, are all Christians evil?
No.
If Westboro Baptists are evil Christians, are most Christians evil?
No.
If Westboro Baptist Church is evil, are enough Christians evil that we need to legislate against types of Christianity to prevent Westboro Baptist Church? But then we'll extend to other people, but at least we're preventing them from doing their thing.
Honestly, I would actually explain their evilness and how many people are in their congregation, but I understand your point. But yeah,
I think you're going to agree that the answer is no. They go to funerals and they hold signs that say God hates F slurs, and they say that we're all going to hell and they can't wait for it. That's the extent of it. It's freedom of speech, but we wouldn't legislate against their evil in a way that would affect a group greater than them because they're evil. So even if you can find a tiny example of a person who's actually somehow being evil with their abortions, you don't legislate against a greater group of people to prevent them. I'm not going to do it to your Christianity. Don't do it to women's autonomy. Go ahead.
I agree. So let me ask you a question. You know a lot about this. So if I was to, and I'm really wondering this, when it comes to this, because you said a small statistic, a number, you can't outlaw the majority just because of a small statistic. So when it comes to, let's put abortion rate from when from when America started it till now. Okay. So let's say it's at 100%. What percentage would you say it's a medical emergency? And what percentage would you say it's not a medical emergency?
It doesn't matter because I don't care if all of them are not medical emergencies. No person has the right to use another person's body. So even if, again, within the first 15 weeks, you don't even have a moral argument. And so we're not even talking about in the first 15 weeks. If you want to talk about after 15 weeks, how many are medical emergencies versus none, it's a huge margin are medical emergencies or some other as serious situation. It's going to be less than 5% are none after that 15-week mark. Before the 15-week mark, you have nothing to stand on. That thing's not a thinking agent. So even with a moral argument, but even after, there is no number where if you said, if 100% of people were getting abortions for fun because they wanted to, I would still say they do have the right to terminate a pregnancy because the government should not be allowed to force a person to be pregnant longer than they want to be pregnant.
So I came on your show to talk about actually what the atheistic belief is, but I want to touch on one more point. I don't know if there's a time clock on this or whatever, but you said something, and it's about the weeks, the 15 weeks. Is that what you said?
15 weeks is a somewhat arbitrary number. It's actually sometime after that, for the most part, before they become any sort of significant thinking agent that you could say is more actually has been granted the preciousness that we've agreed on, which has to do with consciousness. Thinking agent. And even then, by the way, it's you use when you're born as like sort of our best that we have. Even then, I would never say it's okay to commit infanticide, but there is some level of the brain still isn't fully braining. They're not forming memories. They haven't formed self-awareness, that kind of shit. But once they're born, I'm good enough with that as a cutoff point because they're not violating somebody else's body against their will.
So you're saying pre-15 weeks, it's not really abortion because the thing inside of it is exactly.
Of course, it's an abortion. It's a pregnancy.
Yeah, abortion is termination of a pregnancy.
But yes, I would not extend personhood to anything. I don't extend personhood until birth, but in a sort of like ethical, moral situation. Let's say I was with somebody and they were open to the idea of having a baby, but they weren't positive they'd want to. I would suggest, without trying to make the decision for them, that you really should do your best to make that decision before 15 weeks, because it does feel a little bit worse to do that after, if it isn't for like a medical reason or something. However, again, wouldn't prohibit her, wouldn't tell her not to. I wouldn't think it was my business or the law, because I don't know what those lines should be. Even if at 20 weeks, she just develops some sort of amount of being terrified at the prospect. Whatever it is, no one has the right to use your body for their own life.
So
I would put no bans.
Right. So it not being a person 15 weeks pre to that. So if I was to ask you a question like, hey, if I have, if I have an apple seed and I can grow an apple tree with this, and I show you the seed and say, hey, this isn't an apple tree right now, but it's a seed, and if you grow it could be an apple tree.
We're talking about personhood, not human life. I acknowledge that an embryo is a human life. It does not have personhood. Therefore, it does not. Perry, have you ever known a vegetable, a person who went into a vegetative state?
Yes.
Do you know why it is considered legally ethical and legally and morally okay to pull the plug on them?
Do I know why? No, I don't.
Did you ever pull the?
Explain that would be great.
Do you know anyone who's had the plug pulled on them?
Yeah, I actually stood by a friend while he pulled the plug on his mother. But yeah.
Did you feel like he was doing something unethical?
Unethical?
Yes.
No, I believe through in that moment. Great. I prayed a lot, and we all just asked. We told him to give it a couple of days and see what he truly feels, and that was on him. It's his mother, so
the reason why that option is there. In fact, the only reason why they don't just do it automatically is because they know people have some attachment, and people love to bring up when you see first signs of a heartbeat with an embryo. When a heartbeat is just a blood pump. With the fetus, it's just a blood pump. A heart isn't something special, though you need it. You don't want yours to die. But the reason why we don't just automatically do it is because people are attached to things with heartbeats. But it's not for a scientific reason. A brain dead person is dead. Their personhood is already gone. You pulling the plug is just turning off the rest of the organs. The thinking agent is gone. The brain has died. The consciousness, the thing that we're talking about, makes life precious. In a full-grown adult, people who get in accidents, people who develop certain brain situations, those people have lost their personhood, and it is extremely rare to establish someone has and find out not that they can get it back. It's usually that that it was wrong. We're talking about much, much less than 1%. Of the time, and usually has to do with the technology available to the physician. So a living adult with a life and who did things, had memories, can also lose personhood. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about does an apple seed become, because I will also argue that right now, Perry, I don't know what kind of organs you have, so I'll say my own. I currently have 2 organs sitting between my legs full of human lives. Now, they aren't complete. They still have things to do, but I don't grant any of my sperm personhood. Any of it. None of it. And I don't grant anything that isn't a thinking agent with some amount of self-awareness and consciousness. I don't grant any of that personhood. So that's why the 15-week mark, that's sort of like you're pretty safe here. It's really sometime after. And that's where, on a personal level, not having to do with what I would make legal, but I would encourage people to try to avoid getting past that mark as best they can before making that decision.
And why is that? So after that mark, it becomes what?
Mostly that we don't have enough understanding of consciousness to know how conscious these agents are. There's actually there's a lot to believe that they aren't very conscious, again, even when they are born as a baby. But when they're born as a baby, again, they're not violating somebody else's body. So the right of autonomy isn't an issue. But, mostly, I would say that that's mostly an emotional argument that I would be making, again, because I'm not writing a law on this. I'm talking about how I would suggest to another person when to make their decision by, which, by the way, is already the attitude of most pro-abortion people, which is why most abortions happen before 15 weeks.
So, and not to sound all fairy tale-ish, the reason I was saying the seed and the apple is because you can sell a seed with the promise of it being something. Now, again, I understand the consciousness, and we were talking about, the person, but that is what I feel gets taken away when a fetus is aborted pre 15 weeks, after 15 weeks.
And it also gets taken away every time
away the promise.
It gets taken every time the last caller comes in a sock. He gives away tons of apple seeds.
Yeah, I don't know why we should care about the potential not existing anymore. I don't think that's really been sufficiently, the case has been made. Because Perry, again, not to take it back, but if you're just saying that it gives you a bad vibe and you don't like it, cool. You're entitled to that feeling, and I don't think anybody here really cares about that. What we're talking about is access to the legal right to abortion, right? That's what really should matter here in this conversation.
Yeah, Perry, you're right now talking to us instead of doing things that have the potential to lead to a human life. So potential doesn't matter. You're on the phone instead of getting people pregnant.
Yeah, sure, exactly. The reason I did call, can I sway the conversation and ask a question about your belief?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what does, I've met a few atheists and their beliefs kind of vary. What type of atheism do you believe?
What do you mean? Which definition of atheism do we relate to?
Yeah, no titles if you don't need them, but if you could just explain to me, what your, is there a faith in it? Is there a belief? Is there
no faith?
No, I don't know of a form of atheism that has any faith, but I am an atheist in that I lack any belief in a God. I will tell you on top of that, I'm an agnostic in that I don't know for sure that no God exists anywhere, but that doesn't make it 50-50. And now when we go with no statements, I'm going to now switch back to a belief statement. I actually actively believe that gods do not exist, that through tracing the origin of where God myths come from, the most reasonable conclusion is that gods are human inventions made for comfort and power, and not that they actually exist.
I probably would second most of that.
So how do we combat the history of mankind, of all of this manuscript evidence of men that existed, just in point, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, manuscript evidence of him walking, that's fine, let's put that aside for a second. All these books, these Buddhist books, the Vedas, all have manuscript evidence. Is this something that we look at and just say they was wrong, or is this something we look at and say it never happened?
No, we look at it and say they were wrong. In some cases, it never happened. I assume, Perry, you actually know that even amongst Christian scholars and historians, there is agreement that Moses, for example, did not literally exist, that story is some sort of metaphor, or that Adam and Eve did not literally exist. I would hope you're aware of this, Perry, that these are at best stories. So we already know that there are some that are sort of verified even amongst those who are biased toward those beliefs to not have existed. So in many cases, it's going to be wrong. In many cases, it will be incorrect attribution of characteristics to specific individuals. So for example, if you accept that Jesus Christ existed, and if I give you the benefit of the doubt, I don't think the burden of proof has been met, but I don't deny he may have. I'm not a mythicist. I would say that while I don't necessarily say I know Jesus Christ existed and walked the earth, I will say I believe there was no miracle worker, there was no resurrection, there was no magic, essentially. I know that Christians don't love that, but yes, I would say that to simply say that before the scientific method, humanity was wrong a lot more often, and now they're just usually wrong, not as often as before, but still very often wrong in the modern day, I've no problem with believing that, especially when you just go to those time periods and look at all the other things they were wrong about.
I have. So they say that just a little bit of brain food. In the event there was a humongous flood that would take out the entire existence of humanity, something that looked like Noah's flood. And if that was to happen, and if it was to happen today, the only things we would have left on this earth is the pyramids. Maybe a few structures that we know are historical wonders. All of our other things that we have, our technology, our towers, our buildings, our cars, our everything, all ceases to exist. So now,
I think boats would do fine. The reason why I question... Excuse me? I just suspect boats would do fine.
Well, yeah, I guess so. So
we have some pretty technological boats, Perry.
So the truth is, we don't know how much tech they had. So if you go to, there's a lot of things. I didn't want to leverage your own point by saying that a small amount of people...
Perry. Even Christian scholars, granted, the non-scientific ones, if you're not going to Answers in Genesis, maybe you are. I don't know if you're a young earth creationist, but you're describing as though we don't know how the pyramids were built because there was a great global flood, except for that there wasn't. We are certain there wasn't a great global flood. Again, even giant Christian organizations are certain of this, such as the Catholic Church. Now, the Egyptians, while we may not know how they built the pyramids exactly, it's not as though we know nothing. That's a joke that conspiracy theorists still believe. But we do have a general idea of when they were built and so we do know that whatever period of time people want to go, well, what about when the entire world was covered in water billions of years ago? We know the Egyptians weren't billions of years old. We know Homo sapiens aren't billions of years old. So Perry, that's a fun exercise to go who would have even known if some apocalyptic event happened? But we actually know enough, and there's plenty of stuff that would have been wiped away that's there by a global flood that hasn't been, and there wasn't a global flood.
So what I'm going to use against now, I will tell you, I respect your talk, I respect your show. I don't want to interrupt you because the one time I was trying to, you said, Barry, it's my turn. But I was speaking, getting to a point, and I let you interrupt because it is your show, and you do have a little bit of power on this. But if you could,
thank you,
give me
so
a moment.
Much.
If you,
I will. I promise you that your protests now or your implorement now will not affect whether or not I interrupt you.
Okay. So what I was saying is I want to leverage your own point against you. So you said that Baptist church said everyone was evil and a small number of them can contain that every Christian is evil. Now, as I do agree with that, I will tell you that there is while there is number, it is a small number that exists when they say that flood didn't happen. I am a young Earth. I am a young Earth creationist when it comes to about 6,000 years old of an Earth. The billion years old Earth of the belief that is there is a little bit young. It's too young of a belief in order for me to back it. The belief that I understand
it's the one that came about once the scientific method was adopted and valued. And we're talking about, you want to say young is what makes it the best in the business, because actually learning how to do things is young. It's a bit like you're saying, I would fly on that airplane, but airplanes have only been around for 100 years. And praying and getting on wooden boats, thousands of years. So I'm going to put a wooden boat on the ocean because that's at least thousands of years old. But an airplane's 100 years old. The fact of the matter is the technology advanced and we got good at making airplanes because we started adopting new methods of engineering, record keeping, and science. So I'm going to go with the one that gave us airplanes, gave us medicine, gave us space travel, gave us vaccines, gave us the technology you and I are speaking upon, which will include many fiber optic lines, satellites, and then we're getting it to thousands of people right now. Yeah, I got to tell you, Perry, I tend to line up on that side with the understanding, because I can literally with my own telescope see stars that are more than 6,000 light years away, meaning that it should be impossible to see them.
Okay, so yes, and while I do understand what you're saying, the reason I brought that up is so I can say this. I understand that there is modern science, and I promise you, in 10 years from now, there'll be more modern science, and so on and so forth, and it'll continue.
It'll still be modern.
Yeah, exactly. It'll still be modern. So when I look into the history, when I try to go back and say, all right, I want some real information. Now, to me, and you can tell me if this is wrong or not, the real information that I would have to assume is real is manuscript evidence. This is a basis of one.
No, incorrect. You are definitely incorrect, Perry.
So no manuscript evidence doesn't hold?
No, I didn't say no manuscript. You would begin with quote unquote manuscript evidence.
And then you would look for evidence.
Have you ever taken a college level science course or a high school level, even though I know you said you dropped out?
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to college and high school and all this. Never did, though.
Okay, great. You should try. See if you can get into just one college science course, because science courses are made up of two elements, the classroom and the lab. Engaging in science is, yes, reading how it's done, reading the theory, and then practicing. You literally learn how to do the experiments. In most of these places, in most of these schools, you go do the experiments. So no, you are not solely relying on. And by the way, now we have this amazing thing that I assume you're aware of, YouTube, where you can also watch a person. Now, you could say there's some level of trust in there. And so now the more you watch people do these experiments and explain how it's done, hopefully that lowers the amount you have to trust. But then once again, as much effort as you are willing to put into learning, you don't just have to learn, you can then also go participate. So if you want to learn the theory and go do the experiments to verify the theory, then you can actually do that. And if you do that, you will find that the information you are learning works in a lot of cases, if not most, when you experiment. And the thing that you believed in before, if your mind changes, Barry, with the thing you believe in now, doesn't. That there is no way to make a 6,000-year-old Earth consistent with reality.
Maybe I might have this word wrong. Manuscript evidence is two witnesses or more that claim something is true. Is that not manuscript evidence?
And is still nowhere near as good as actual experimentation.
Hey, Jimmy, I want to try. We can make manuscript evidence right now. Hey, Jimmy, isn't it true that there is a pink unicorn that floats over Austin, Texas?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We have manuscript evidence that exists.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. And that's great because we're on these modern devices. But this was my approach when it came to understanding what happened. If a person had to say, oh, I want to look into history. I want to go 100 years back, 500 years back, 1,000, and so on and so on. The only thing we have all this modern science, and it's wonderful, and it'll continue to advance, sure. But the only thing we have for history, which didn't have this modern science, is manuscript evidence.
Incorrect.
That's not true at all.
No, Perry, the only thing we have for human history about what the people at that time thought when they went to the market and what their beliefs are manuscript evidence. The history of the planet, the history of species, we have way more non-manuscript, non-testimonial evidence than we have. And Perry,
DNA evidence, geological evidence, archaeological evidence. There's so many different ways you could look at that.
I'll let you get one more point in here, Perry, but I'm just going to kind of wrap up my side by saying the difference between the two of our positions is my side is not remotely intimidated by me or anyone else going and learning about young Earth creationism. But the more you learn about young Earth creationism and actual good, as you call it, modern science, the odds of you siding with young Earth creationism plummet. That's why the conversion from among scientists to young Earth creationism is much, much lower than the conversion of young Earth creationists to science. We'll call it scientism, as I know so many of you on your side like to call it. Perry, last words, and then we're going to move on.
Sure. Jimmy, first of all, I appreciate it. You had a cool show. I'll be able to subscribe, and I'll debate with you here and there. So you said that you're not intimidated. This will be my last words. If you give me a sense of interruption, there is a little bit of intimidation. If I start saying,
you're breaking out, buddy.
Yeah,
your signal is breaking out.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's better now. Go for it.
Okay. So you tell me if this is intimidating or not. Okay, this is my belief. 6,000-year creation, the fall of man got banished down, and then there was sin upon the earth. After there's sin upon the earth, then there could be no heaven in a sense because God is light. Light cancels out darkness. Your sin is darkness. A person that has this cannot enter heaven. Biblically, it says sin will not enter heaven. So now we're all stuck on this earth, and we cannot not sin because we sin daily. And then after that sin doesn't go to heaven. So this was an exercise. A lot of people throw
Perry,
this Deuteronomy verse.
We were giving you last words, not last monologue. So wrap this up, and you got a few more words, but not a monologue.
So that was my point of intimidation. The moment I start speaking, you interrupt. And you won't let that finish.
That's not about intimidation, Perry. That's about we're running a show for entertainment on YouTube.
I told you we're moving on.
Yeah,
I told you we're moving on. There is no intimidation, Perry. You don't intimidate me, and you whining about not getting to say your whole monologue. That is, in fact, you trying to bear your testimony and see if you can get. Nobody's intimidated. Perry, you could take 10 minutes to tell the same story. And at the end of the day, I'm going to hear if you're not good, Santa Claus is going to give you coal. And I won't be intimidated, but I don't care until you bring evidence, not your testimony. I tried to give you last words. You tried to abuse it and whine about it. So I'll talk to you next time. I hope you do better. Goodbye, Perry.
I know you already let Perry go. I just wanted to give him a send-off because I'm sure he's still watching. When you said I don't seem like the kind of girl who would get an abortion 17 times or whatever, that's because I don't have a uterus. And since you didn't catch on to that, you should call the Transatlantic Call-In Show every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. I think those calls would be great. I would love to have you call that show.
We can always tell.
I'm just glad I'm not that kind of girl.
Man, we have a lot of calls left. I don't want to go past the hour, so we're going to move through some of these quickly.
Okay. I'm going to hit the bathroom while you
go ahead.
This next
I'll
call.
do an atheist call while you do the bathroom, and then we'll get back to theist calls. Okay. Tim, you're on the line. Tim from Minnesota. You are on the line with Jimmy Snow. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. How's it going?
Just fine. Did you say you are a humanist and you voted for Trump, or you are trying to reconcile how a humanist can vote for Trump?
Yeah, no, I am, and I voted for Trump.
I don't think you are. That's kind of my point. How did you feel today about Matt Gaetz being tapped for Attorney General?
Did he really? I didn't even see that. Are you just saying that, or is that real?
Donald Trump is nominating. He announced his nomination of Matt Gaetz, the person who his own party says was fucking children a few years back, for Attorney General.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. Actually, I thought it was going to be another guy. But yeah.
Right.
Wow.
The guy who also has been talking in Congress for the last 4 years about all the revenge they want to get on the opposition. Was a big part in investigations that went nowhere. Basically the opposite of the Republicans that they've even had in recent years, who would be responsible with the power, the most irresponsible with the power person, most fascistic person you can imagine, is who he tapped for it. You still feeling good?
Yeah, I'm not a Matt Gaetz fan, so that is unfortunate news. But
one of the most powerful positions in government. How did you feel about Tulsi Gabbard, who is understood to have Russian ties that are incredibly fucked up, being named for the Director of National Intelligence?
Well, I actually like Tulsi, and I kind of understand.
Would you make somebody the DNI if that there is a good, at least reasonable, open question that they might be a Russian asset, or would you make sure that you pick somebody clean as a fucking whistle and put Tulsi somewhere else, like I don't know, fucking Department of Transportation? Look how fucking Pete Buttigieg is kicking ass at that shit. Why not put her there instead of putting her, if she is in fact a Russian asset, in the worst place you could put her?
Well, so
You've gone mute, Tim. Touch your phone.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, what I wanted to get into is the reason why I voted for Trump, and it's not because I like a lot of the things Trump does or necessarily his cabinet picks and things. I have a lot of issues with Trump, both from policy perspectives and on a personal level. And
yeah, who did he pick for Secretary of Defense, Tim?
Who would I pick?
No, who did he pick?
Yeah, I haven't followed up on who he's picked. Who did he pick?
Let me ask you.
Yeah, that's the reasons that I've voted for Trump.
Hang on. Let me ask you this. I'm going to give you three options. And I want you to tell me if any of these three options are somebody you would never make the Secretary of Defense. Okay? Okay, I'm going to give you three options. Let's do the first option is an ex-military general. The second option is
I didn't hear about this. He picked the Fox News guy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he picked a host of Fox News with not only a host of Fox News, but a host of Fox News who wants to reduce the size of military by excluding women in the military. But, that's cool, Tim. As people talk about Israel
can I
being
give you a few of the reasons why I voted for Trump? Because I have
sure. I just want to, but while we're on the topic, I know what your reasons were. It's not, buddy. I'm the one who called that Trump was going to win. It's not as though I don't know why people voted for Trump. I'm just less interested. I'm now interested more in whether or not people are starting to have buyer's remorse. Are you starting to have buyer's remorse? Does any of the stuff that we've talked about so far make you go, whatever my reasons, those are not awesome things?
Well, no, and I can explain why if
all right, you go ahead and explain why. Is it? Go ahead.
So the humanist
is going to explain.
So when you talk, so to me, you look at Joe Biden's cognitive decline, right? Joe Biden was obviously somebody who was in serious cognitive decline. I wouldn't trust him to be a manager at McDonald's. And there was an obvious cover-up.
I disagree. I would say that there was hang on.
You disagree?
You said I agree. I think that he had age-related cognitive decline that absolutely warrants him not running for office again and probably wasn't worth having him before. However, the actual assessments from medical professionals, not Fox News pundits, is that they are normal amounts, especially when you talk about, yes, he seems a little more tired. Yes, he trails off more. Yes, he seems older. Now, if we're going to talk about that's a reason to vote. But listen, Tim, hang on, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. That's going to be where you go next. I'm going to tell you this right now, Tim. I don't think you should have voted for Joe Biden in the last election. Last Tuesday, I think if you voted for Joe Biden, you're an idiot because Joe Biden wasn't on the ballot. Now you believe
I said was she honest about his cognitive situation?
I think Kamala Harris and many people presented a more optimistic view than what we saw with our own eyes. I think that he probably wasn't as bad as we think he was. I think actually he had that really bad debate performance. Then other stuff showed he was bad, but not as bad. But I will tell you this, Tim, I pay attention to the cognitive experts on both sides. And even at the worst that the people who they were putting on Fox News were saying, still better than the cognitive decline of a man who is actually showing the signs of dementia, who at 78 years old is obese, and therefore his chances of dementia go way up. And if you want to go put him up as high as possible, all you need is a family history of dementia, which the man has as well. So you're also talking about, even if it was Biden versus Trump, I actually don't think Biden is cognitively worse than Trump. But if we're going to talk about honesty,
that's where the disconnect
because you think Harris lied about Biden.
People think it's obvious.
Great. I don't care what regular people think. I go with experts, not regular people. But Tim, I already know why Trump won, because regular people are stupid, and the Democrats, instead of trying to appeal to workers and workers' rights, some of the smart stuff they could appeal to, they didn't try to do that, and they tried to just sound centrist and just make their platform, but we're not Trump. And Trump basically said, bibbidi bobbidi, I'm going to make the gasoline cheaper, and I'm going to make the eggs. The eggs are going to be so cheap, and I'm going to get rid of all the brown people you don't like, but I'll keep some of the ones you do. That was what Trump said. And I get why he won, because most people are fucking stupid. But Tim, you're here to say you're a humanist. I hope you're not here to say you're a stupid humanist, because my assessment is not a part of what most people think. My assessment is based on actual expert assessment. And if you're going to sit there and make an argument about cognition when Trump clearly is showing early signs of dementia, and then honesty when nobody lies more, Donald Trump lies when there's no consequences to lying or telling the truth. He will pick a lie for fun. He does it nonstop like crazy. So I don't know what basis upon you think I'm going to change my mind.
Where they had 825.
This is what's so annoying about talking to Trump voters, Tim, is that we bring you something. No, shut the fuck up for a second. We bring you something where we're pointing out a problem, and rather than go, you know what? Yeah, that is a problem. You go, oh yeah, well here's this thing the Democrats did that's not related at all. What? Why can't you just own the problem?
No, I'm saying it's not a problem. I'm trying to explain why it's not a problem. He said Trump lies.
Okay, great.
By pointing to a different thing.
Yes, Trump lied. All politicians lie, but nobody has ever lied. Trump is the LeBron James of lying.
And I'm trying to explain why that's not the case. I don't think it's the case.
And Biden is a high school basketball player of lying. He absolutely he lies about where his parents were born. Like everything from big policy, I'm going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He threw some rods in the ground and Mexico didn't pay for shit. From all the way down to things that don't matter, like that his parents came from Germany when they didn't. The guy loves to lie, and this is well documented in history that nobody lies more than this guy. He just does it seemingly for fun because he believes.
My position is that Biden lied more and about more significant things.
And you're wrong. You're
absolutely
I have
just
examples.
wrong.
If you let me give some examples, I have multiple examples.
But you giving.
825,000 jobs.
Tim, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Tim.
Nobody can hear you. You're still talking, but nobody can hear you.
Number of examples. I don't care if you have a list of examples and your list is shorter or longer. The list of all of them, the Trump list, is much, much longer. And the
we don't need
fact of the matter
specifics.
is Tim, you're pretending to be an atheist. You aren't. You're pretending to be a humanist. You aren't. You're pretending to be a skeptic. You aren't. I don't know what you are, but you're none of those things. You're not. And the fact of the matter is Donald Trump is going to solidify the Supreme Court and take what is already an extremely Christian conservative Supreme Court and actually make it more extreme, but solidify the composition, which means if you are a secular humanist atheist, one of your highest values should be trying to restore the separation of church and state. And fundamentally, I don't care how much you think Biden lied versus Trump lied, policy versus policy, justice versus justice,
we hung up.
Federal court versus federal court. Okay, well, of course, because he doesn't want to hear it. Federal court versus federal court. If you are actually a secular humanist atheist, Donald Trump is obviously wrong. There is no secular humanist justification for a Christian nationalist president. Go ahead.
Tim's little bitch ass just showed up in chat and said, literally scared of the actual stats. You didn't bring stats, you dumb motherfucker. You brought a single example. You don't know what statistics are. If you wanted to prove that Joe Biden lies more than Donald Trump, you would come and say, here's an article that I found that evaluated how many times Joe Biden lied over the course of his presidency compared to how many times Trump lied over his presidency. Biden lied X amount of times, which is greater than Trump's lies, which were Y amount of times. You didn't do that. You came and said, well, Biden had a jobs report that he wasn't completely honest about. Those aren't stats, you dumb motherfucker.
By the way, first of all, Biden doesn't generate the jobs report. But second of all, the exact words, they did get removed by the mods, and that's fine. I don't care. Right? But they said these are the exact words, literally scared of the actual stats. You lost. Now, here's the thing. First of all, you hung up. We didn't. We were going to unmute you. You were still going to get your shot. You were the one who hung up.
You just couldn't help talking over.
But do you know what I've noticed about Republicans and people in general who like to cosplay that they are good debaters? It's very wild to me that the worst debaters think that debaters are also referees. in an actual debate, even the moderator doesn't decide who won. In fact, no winner in actual debates is almost ever declared except by individuals. And usually it's most people in position A say person A won, and position B say person B won. And you might get some people in the middle. And if you can actually get a good, accurate representation of the so-called swing voter, you can get an idea of who did better. But I think it is hilarious how many Republicans do this thing where they designate themselves the referee. Tim, I got to tell you, if you wanted to make me feel bad, don't you tell me I lost a debate I was having with you. If somebody else does, that might give me pause, somebody who I actually respect. But the person I'm debating declares themselves the winner? That just sounds like some beta shit, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
Beta! Like,
also,
oh, wow. I didn't know I was debating the ref.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if like somebody like throws a football, referee just grabs it and takes it in the end zone? Like, I won, you lost, bitch. Like, oh, who knew? Who knew he was the ref?
Masked Man in chat says Matt's rubbing off on Arden. How dare you? I have always been an asshole on my own fucking terms. Eat shit.
Sometimes I show up to their house without telling them they're coming, and I can tell you for a fact that actually Arden rubs off on Matt.
Stop. Please, I beg you.
I thought it was good. It wasn't too graphic. It can mean so many things.
No, I knew where you were going, and I was going to make the joke myself, but, you know, I needed to defend my honor as an asshole in my own right. That's why Matt and I get along.
Just a reminder that everybody here, everybody watching, 100% of the voices that you heard on today's episode were from masturbators. All right, moving on. I'm just going to keep bringing it up with that fucking dude earlier. By the way, I don't masturbate. Oh my God. Super chat $10 right now if you think watch how this is. Watch how this works. Okay, Tim. If anybody super chats $10 right now, they're agreeing we won and you lost. So just so you know, now watch, nobody does it. The whole group. Super chat $10 if you agree we beat Tim. Since we can just declare our own victories. I guess if no one does, I can just super chat. Since Tim did it, I guess I can super chat myself $10 and declare myself the winner too.
Right, you can just declare yourself winner.
It's like highlighted with colors. It's like yellow and stuff. Oh, I don't know how much I care about the rest of these. Okay. Jerry in Alabama is a theist who wants to know, apparently this is the abortion show, because that's like what all of these calls are turning into. So let's just make it fast. You're a theist who wants to know, when is it okay to unilaterally terminate a life?
Correct.
Would you like to add any additional context, phrase it in any way that you think yourself?
Additional context is no man ever gets to terminate a life for any reason whatsoever according to the law. And why?
That's not true.
Why? I understand what you're saying. I was listening with the end of life example that you were
no,
using earlier.
Jerry, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I'm saying what you just said isn't true, that no man has the right to end the life of another. According to the law. That's not true. I live in a stand your ground state. If you come on my property and make me feel afraid for my life, I have the right to kill you.
I understand what you're saying with that, but that's not necessarily.
Okay. Would you like to fix your statement then?
Okay. I will do my best. I'm not a great debater. It's just this is
me neither.
I don't understand the why this is a women's right issue when I don't see it as a right to terminate a life when a man can't in the same situation.
Because
yes, Jerry, yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can, Jerry. I don't know. And I love when this comes up, and I'm sorry, Arden, whatever you were about to say, what I'm about to say is better. Jerry, 1000%. If you are in the same situation, you do have a right to terminate the life. I don't know how it happened, but Jerry, I promise you, I will fight. No, Jerry, hang on, Jerry. I will fight with violence if I have to for that same right. I don't know how it happens, Jerry, but if you ever get pregnant, I promise you, I will fight for your right to terminate that pregnancy. Now, you might want to say, I can't get pregnant. Sure. But in the actual exact situation, I believe that you deserve the same bodily autonomy that women do. The only reason we say women, which by the way, women isn't perfect. I'll piss off Anna Kasparian right now and agree with you that we should be more inclusive. We mean those with uteruses. I get it, Jerry. That's what you meant. And you wanted the clarification. You don't like the term women here. I get it. And we're there. I do not believe you, a man or any woman or any non-binary person who is pregnant should have to be pregnant if they don't want to be. Thank you for helping me clarify that, Jerry.
You shouldn't have had sex, right?
Yeah, great, Jerry. And that doesn't work.
Yeah, great argument.
4.5 billion years of evolution are making it so that, in fact, yeah, Jerry, having sex is not consenting to pregnancy. Having sex is consenting to sex is just consenting to sex. Jerry, would you make it illegal to abort if somebody is raped? Would you at least have an exception for that?
Well, so I'm pro-choice. It's just I'm trying to understand the.
Wait, how are you pro-choice? How are you pro-choice if you're saying that an abortion's illegal?
He's an idiot.
Should be illegal.
No,
Jerry, do you mean pro-life?
Because for me, I've never been in the situation to where I had to make a choice, so I'm pro-choice. But like my general leanings, and this has kind of come up in the last, couple of weeks, excuse my language, election cycle.
Yeah, fuck you. Don't swear.
Where I'm trying not to. I apologize.
No, we're just messing with you. It's fine.
It's a joke. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going, Jerry.
Just with this election cycle, why it's a woman's right? It's just I don't think it's a.
So I'm going to take over and explain this one. Okay, Jerry, have you heard of the violinist argument, Jerry?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so the violinist argument, there's variations of it, but basically the core concept is, let's imagine you and the last violinist left on Earth, the most gifted one, share the only same blood type, right? And the only way to save him is to hook you up to a machine where your heart pumps blood into his. That is the only way to keep this person alive, right? They are dependent on your body to stay alive. Do you think that even if you say, no, I don't want to be hooked up to this person, that sounds really violating to me, I don't want my body to be used to keep this person alive, that you should be forced to against your will? Or do you think you should have the right to say, I realize he's the violinist, I'd rather this be a situation where he didn't have to die, but ultimately I value my autonomy and I don't want to be hooked up to him?
I understand your argument with the violinist.
Just answer, please. Don't give me an I understand. Which would you rather?
As it relates to your specific scenario, I'm not beholden to the violinist.
Exactly, because that is your right to bodily autonomy, and that is a right that all living people, except for people who can get pregnant, are afforded. Why is it? Now, look, if you're not advocating for a law that's going to force women to be pregnant, I don't really care what your personal feeling is about it. You're allowed to have feelings. I don't really give a shit about that. But if you're here saying that it's not a women's rights issue, that's just wrong. Right. Women's bodily autonomy is women do not have the same right to bodily autonomy that men have.
Autonomy. You could have made a different choice.
It doesn't matter.
Right to bodily autonomy. Yes.
Okay. No. We're changing the hypothetical then. Jerry, you got access to a brand new treatment, right? It gave you special blood that makes you more efficient at work, and you don't need to sleep. And now you are the only person who can keep this person alive. So you made a choice. Is it not your responsibility?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Back to the violinist.
I didn't understand.
Yeah. So we're doing the same violinist argument, but the only difference is that you made a choice that is what gave you the special blood. That is the only blood that can keep him alive. And you didn't know that this was going to be the situation when you did it. You thought that you were just doing something that was going to benefit your life. But now you've made a choice and you are in the situation. So now, according to your argument, you are obligated to keep that person alive.
I understand with your magical situation that I had.
It's not magical. It's a hypothetical. Jerry, I'm sorry. You don't seem to understand what a hypothetical is. A hypothetical is meant to. No, Jerry, actually, you're going to shut the fuck up right now. So a hypothetical is meant to evaluate where the lines in your ethics are and see if you are consistent in your application of this, or if you're in fact just a misogynist who thinks that women in particular don't deserve rights. So if you're going to answer the question honestly now, you made a choice. Now, according to your own ethical framework that you're laying out for us, you are now obligated to keep this person alive. Yes or no?
According to the exact scenario that you have depicted, no. Because this is just trying.
Oh, so no. you're not obligated, but women who have sex are, because they chose to have sex. So what is it about sex in particular as a choice that makes it different, even though both lead to the exact same scenario?
I understand what you're saying. It's just like we live in the real world.
Why do I keep getting, I understand what I'm saying instead of an answer to my question. Why are you insisting on dodging the question rather than just answering it?
Pardon me. I'm not trying to dodge I'm not trying to dodge. Ask me again and I'll answer. I apologize.
So if the two situations are the exact same, where a choice led to a apparent obligation to sustain another life against your will, why is it different in pregnancy versus the hypothetical?
Because I don't think the hypothetical is the same as the actual scenario of a woman choosing to have sex with a man.
Wait, now how?
I'm telling you.
You're just saying, no, you're not telling me. You're just saying you don't think so. I need to know how.
Because a woman chose to have sex with a man, I did not choose to have the special blood.
That's not the hypothetical. The hypothetical was that you did choose.
Oh, okay.
I love the way, though, that he phrases it, that this is the woman's fault, too.
So rather than acknowledge the ethical break that you're having, you're just saying it's a ridiculous hypothetical. Yeah, that's what we call intellectually dishonest, Jerry. So I no longer think you're serious, and I no longer have any interest in hearing anything you have to say.
Jerry. So you're stuck on this. Hang on, stop. Great, that's great.
You are,
and your points so far are dumb. Jerry, let's just go with some of the silly things you're saying. The woman had chose to have sex with a man. Okay, so you are agreeing then that any type of that there isn't consent involved, no restriction on abortion for them. You should say not like if there wasn't consent involved, then for sure no restriction in that abortion. That's totally okay, right?
Pardon me, you're using a couple of negatives. If there wasn't consent involved, then there's pardon me. What was the rest of that? If there wasn't consent
your
involved,
thing is consent. If your thing is consent, so you would say if there is rape, you get all the abortions you want if you were raped because you didn't choose to have sex, right?
Honestly, that's kind of. I'm calling in because I'm interested in
answer the question, Jerry, or we're done. You said that it's because a woman chose to have sex with a man and therefore should live with the consequences. So now I'm telling you there's a woman who did not choose to have a man. Should she still live with the consequences?
I don't know, honestly.
Then you don't even know your Jerry. Great. Call back when you do know, because if your argument is this is contingent on a choice they made, you've just admitted that the choice doesn't actually matter. The core of your argument doesn't matter to you, Jerry, because I just turned it around. I said, okay, let's take the choice away. They don't choose to become pregnant, or don't choose to have sex, but they become pregnant anyway. Does it still matter? What? And then had you said, I thought you would have said, obviously, no, if they didn't choose, then you can't keep, they shouldn't worry about staying pregnant. They should absolutely abort if they want to abort, because that should be their right. They didn't choose. And then I was going to ask you follow-ups of using birth control. All of the people who do attempt to not get pregnant because we are fucking wired hard to fuck each other. And it isn't just as simple as close your legs and just decide not to. It isn't just that simple. So what about all of the people who used condoms, used a birth control pill? What about all the people who have an IUD and end up with an ectopic pregnancy? Should they live with the consequences? They chose to have sex, and that ectopic pregnancy is going to kill them, but they chose to have sex, so they should just die. What are these lines and limits of you must live with the consequences because you chose to have sex? And you don't even know whether or not a rape victim should abort. And you said it was about choice. So call back when you know, that your argument can apply in your own terms unilaterally. Go ahead, Jerry, but I doubt we're going to continue if you can't figure that out.
The reason why I say that it's I don't know is because I haven't specifically been put in a situation, and I understand, and I am like we're talking about, I am pro-choice, and I'm not trying to take away people's choice or quote unquote autonomy. I would be like, if we're talking about legislation.
Then what are you arguing
absolutely.
for? You're arguing for whether or not. Are you?
I'm not arguing.
Yes, what? Legislation?
My original premise, like why I called in, was asking about like when it becomes okay to kill a person, or terminate a pregnancy.
When they violate your bodily autonomy. And killing them is killing them is the only way to stop them from doing so. Because once again, late-term abortions are usually just deliveries and they don't kill the baby. But we don't call those abortions, even though we are inducing labor, even though that would be an abortion. If you induce labor, you are stopping the pregnancy on purpose. That's also an abortion. You just don't kill the baby in that scenario. So as far as killing goes, if the result of ending their violation to your bodily autonomy, and there isn't justification for that bodily autonomy. So for example, if somebody means to imprison you, you can murder them or kill them to stop them from imprisoning you, unless they have adequate justification, like they are the police and you have broken laws. However, to avoid being imprisoned, in most other circumstances, yes, you can kill a person to stop that. If they are violating your bodily autonomy, you can kill. I don't
think your bodily autonomy is superior or is better than somebody else's right to live.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You already admitted you do. You already did to Arden, admitted that you do believe that. You already said that you should not be forced to give blood infusions. We can do anything else, kidney dialysis, whatever. You have already said that you cannot be forced or compelled to keep somebody else alive just according to your own discomfort.
That was when I made a choice to have that special blood in my body.
You said it before the special blood. You said it just if you could, you wouldn't. Jerry, do you have both? How many kidneys do you have, Jerry?
So then let me...
Jerry, how many kidneys do you have?
Let me backtrack that.
Jerry, how many kidneys do you have? Answer my question, Jerry. How many kidneys do you have?
2.
How many kidneys do you need?
1.
Great. Should the government be allowed to force you to give them a kidney to give to somebody else?
Nope.
Then you value bodily autonomy over the life of other people, period. Because if they did that, somebody's life would be...
You're talking apples and oranges.
No, I am not. We are talking about the phrase you said. I'm not on abortion. You said an individual's bodily autonomy is not more valuable than another person's human life. If you keep both your kidneys and every node of your liver and anything else you can donate, then you don't believe that.
That's not necessarily true.
Yes, it is.
It is. I mean,
Arden, you're muted.
I don't deal in absolute.
Jerry, you don't understand hypotheticals. You don't understand where your ethics lie. You should go think about this a lot more before you call out.
Well, the thing is,
have a go on, Jerry. You need to.
We are not a class. We are not a school. We are here to debate topics.
Point. Yeah, we're not a bouncing off point.
I have a great idea. It's just I was hoping you could change my mind.
First of all, since you can't understand hypotheticals, I'm not confident in my ability to change your mind.
And you've also 3 times shown you don't actually know your own point, Jerry. You've been revealed to not know your own point 3 times. You're welcome, Jerry. Thank you. I'm glad we ended on a nice note since Jerry thanked us.
You literally have demonstrated that you don't understand hypotheticals. You know what's wild is in all the people we've talked to today, the person who felt the most intellectually honest and intelligent was the young Earth creationist high school dropout. That is fucking mind-blowing to me.
Which bus is going to me? Recheck. Right click my call.
A and C.
No. Right click my call and see what my audio source is.
My
vMix call input.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like blanking on this right now. I guess I don't know entirely what you're asking. What call you're coming in from?
That's my vMix call, and if you right click it, the drop down will have audio source where you can change my audio source. Just hit the arrow and tell me which one is mine. Am I on the master? A, B? Okay, great. So go ahead and turn off M on the call that's going out. On the caller.
Oh,
the caller's audio. Turn off M.
Oh, I understand. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep, you're good.
I just needed to make sure this was going to work. Cool. Okay, let me just take a look at some things here. Who do we want to check next? Let's see. Gumbo in Florida. Gumbo, you are on the line with Jimmy and Arden. How are you, Gumbo? How are you? What are you calling about? And is that what you're calling for? Oh, actually, hang on, Gumbo. We're having an audio issue. Go ahead and turn M back on. I think we're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we're going to start this call over. Okay, Gumbo in Florida. You are on the line with Jimmy and Arden. How are you, Gumbo?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Just fine. There was another caller from Florida who was banned that was trying to call in, and your name is Gumbo, so I didn't really believe it was whatever. Anyway, Gumbo, what do you want to talk about? Yeah, I know Gumbo's not your real name. I don't think your parents would do that to you.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. Sorry. All right, go ahead, Gumbo. What's your deal?
Like, do you want me to jump in with like the reasons why, or do you have questions first, or should I just go?
So you wrote that Trump is the only man who can save America. He didn't do it in the first 4 years. What does America need saving from?
Islam is the big number one problem.
Islam?
Islam. Like,
Islam is the number one problem facing this country?
The religion, not the people. The religion.
Sure. Okay, great. Islam is the number one threat facing this country, is what you just said.
Yeah.
Number one is Islam.
Number one.
Boy, I'm going to need a basis for that big time.
So do you want to like discuss the beliefs of Islam first, or?
I know the beliefs of Islam very well. I want to understand why they're the number one threat. Because even if there was a religion out there that the religion's main tenet was America should die, which arguably they do exist, if that was in words their main tenet, they wouldn't be the number one threat in America unless they had a significant foothold that was rapidly growing, and that specifically their fundamentalist version of the religion was rapidly growing in America. So I just want to know why you think that of the threats. So let's say the European expansion of Russia into economic dominance, which will undermine the both economic and national security of America that you would see from Russia. That would be, I would think, a higher threat. Christian nationalism and its expansion in America, not Christianity, but Christian nationalism would be a bigger threat. Hang on, I'll give it right back to you here in just a minute, Gumbo. I'm just listing to you some threats. China's economic dependence would be a bigger threat. Why Islam? Why do you think Islam is a bigger threat than those three things, for example?
So hold on, can we back up for a sec? Because I have a few clarifying questions I want to ask before I give that answer.
Sure.
Just to make sure we're on the same page, we agree more Islam is bad. Yes, Islam is harmful. More Islam is more harmful.
If I can just amend it to religion, I'll just go with religion. More Abrahamic religion is bad. More Christianity. More Christianity, more Judaism, more Islam, more Abrahamic religion is bad.
Sorry, what? You listed Christian nationalism as a threat to America, and I don't.
Yeah, bigger threat than Islam. Yeah,
way bigger than Islam.
Yeah, because there's actually more. No. Hang on, Gumbo. I'll tell you. Hold on. Christian nationalists are currently sitting in government and trying to get rid of the core tenet of separation of church and state. The Muslims who currently sit in government are not trying to impose Sharia or Islam in any way. So yes, Christian nationalism is a bigger threat, even if Christianity in its modern form tends to be more moderate than Islam tends to be. The actual threat to us is here, and it's Christian nationalism.
Okay. I understand that. I understand Christian nationalism is in the government and trying to repeal separation of church and state. I am trying to explain that is a good thing, though, so I do not see it as a threat to our government.
Absolutely not a good thing. For anyone who's not a Christian nationalist, that is a bad thing.
Actually, for even most Christian nationalists, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Christian nationalism.
Which version of Christianity should... Which version of Christianity do you believe should be the head of our government? What should be the national Christian religion?
Protestantism.
Right. So you would immediately disenfranchise not just atheists, not just non-Christians, but every non-Christian group as well. Mormonism must stick to some acceptable Catholicism.
I know you're a Mormon,
Right.
and I know you know they're insane.
Gumbo, I think you're insane for being a Protestant. So what is it you think you're talking to? Not literally, but I don't think Mormonism is more insane than Christianity. It's just more mainstream.
Oh, come on.
You guys, come on. You believe in a zombie dude that you eat the metaphorical food to partake of his blood in his body. You like, what do you mean? Come on. You're
ridiculous.
Gumbo.
You're going to claim
Gumbo, your beliefs are ridiculous, and every Mormon belief has some sort of Christian precedent to it. All they have is more Christianity. In fact, Mormonism is just Christianity placed in America. They're such like patriotic fetishists that they made Christianity American. Now Jesus visited America. Like, that's what it is, but it's what's so crazy? They have prophets, like in the Bible. They say that there's revelation, like the Bible says.
Tablet and translated it with a rock.
The Ark of the Covenant, bitch. What are you talking about? The Ten Commandments. Wait, Gumbo. What gave the rock the power? Do you remember? Do you know where it got the power? Yeah.
In Mormonism?
I'll give you a hint. They're from the Old Testament.
Was it not God? I'm not a Mormon expert. But
the translation power, right? From God through what? The tools from the Old Testament called the Urim and Thummim. But that's crazy. That Mormonism's crazy. And they believe in like Jesus has magic power. Oh shit, we believe that too.
No, actually, Gumbo's completely right. Muslims are taking over. The fourth Muslim was elected in the 119th Congress.
Oh, fuck. Oh, I didn't know about that shit.
That's scary, right?
We're up to 4. Gumbo, none of it's like y'all are in prison together and you're like, hey, a bunch of us people who are robbers are going to go and beat up the vandalizers because those are the fucking assholes. Like, You're all in the same padded cells thinking the other people are crazy. You guys believe in magic and not just in a young girl's heart.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm kind of at a loss of response.
I imagine so.
Are you a biblical literalist, Gumbo? Do you think the words of the Bible, the things they say happened, literally happened? It's like literally true?
Are you going to ask me if I believe in the Ark? Is that where this is going? Because I don't.
Any part of the Bible. So you're not a biblical literalist.
Lots of those stories actually happened. I'm not going to say every word of it actually happened.
Did the resurrection of Jesus actually happen?
Obviously that happened.
Okay, so what about the thousands of people who raised from their...
The Muslims are so crazy!
And the Mormons, what about the thousands of people who raised from their graves? Hey, how come not a single person who met their zombie family member? Because remember, in the Bible, it says, with the resurrection of Jesus, thousands of Jews raised from their graves and met their family, and they were having an awesome time. None of them wrote it down. None of them wrote, and were like, bro, my dead grandpa just played kickball with me. None of them. You believe that literally happened, Gumbo?
Manuscripts from Jews who saw that?
Excuse me?
Are there 500 manuscripts from Jews who saw that?
No! What are you talking about? Are you talking about the 500 witnesses? Because there's one book that says there was 500 witnesses. There's not 500 witness accounts
of Jews who saw their Rosen family members.
What? I feel like you're laughing because you know you're making this up.
This person is so not serious. Honestly, I think this is a troll.
Gumbo, you goddamn troll. All right, I'm bored. Goodbye. I don't need Gumbo. We don't need people to pretend to be Christians. Don't do it again. Goodbye. Calling in on an IP address as well. Jesus Christ. All right, let's finish up. Samir, what do you want? Samir in, where are you? Samir in Washington. You want to know why abortion isn't murder.
Yes. So I listened to this entire call. So a bit of background on me. I am like not religious.
Great.
I grew up religious, and I feel like I was lied to a lot by religion. That was the case for trans issues. That was the case for gay marriage, all that stuff. So and some of the like smartest people I know are very pro-abortion. So I would love to hear some sort of like rational argument.
Right.
That,
sure.
Yeah, but
let's just get to it, Samir, because we're trying to wrap up. We're trying to wrap up. So is your question, why is it not murder?
It's immoral. Murder is like a bit legally charged, but it's definitely ending a life.
Okay, fine. Yeah. It's ending a life. I'm not saying no. In fact, not only am I not making the case that it's not ending a life, I'm saying it's fine to end a life in some circumstances, even a human life. We talked about it already with the, I mean, what am I going to not copy and paste? If you did listen to all of it, what am I not going to copy and paste from the if a person is brain dead or the autonomy argument? It is ending a life. Sometimes ending a life is justified, even though we should put efforts into not doing it, especially to those who have personhood. Prior to personhood, it doesn't fucking matter.
And we all agree.
It just doesn't.
We all agree that ending a life is sometimes justified because murder is literally defined as the unjustified killing of a person.
Yeah,
that's
unlawful,
fair.
unjustified.
Yeah, that's obviously going to bring us to the autonomy argument. The reason that doesn't work with me is because you
don't value autonomy?
Let's just call it baby. The baby is there only because of your actions, and we have laws for like highest interest of the children. Like we
okay, great. Samir, hang on. So is abortion completely justified if rape happened? Let's at least get past that.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying only if the choice was made. Is it justified if an attempt to not get pregnant was made? You took birth control. Then what you are saying doesn't add up because they took actions not to get pregnant.
Yeah, but if
they did not consent to being pregnant.
Yeah.
And these things inside them, in over 93% of them, are aborted before they have any significant thought. So they have no more personhood than the individual sperm or individual egg. We're not making you give up masturbating, Samir, to save those sperm, or the caller earlier whose name I forgot. It doesn't matter.
Well, I got answers to all of these. So first of all, the sperm analogy doesn't work for me because every sperm cell.
I don't care if it works for you. Samir, I don't care if it works for you. It matters if it works. You trying to whine about, well, it just doesn't grasp me. Go get a uterus and don't give a fuck. In the meantime, don't legislate against other people's uteruses.
Well, let me tell you, it's beyond that. It's not that it just doesn't grasp to me. It's that if I take any cell in my body, it belongs to me. It belongs to an individual human organism that is me. Fertilized egg does not belong to the mother, does not belong to the father.
It does. Excuse me. Yes, it does. No, it does not. Until it is born. No, it is not. It is not. Samir, until it is born, it 100% belongs to the woman, not even the man who gave the sperm to. It is literally who is going to take the actions that is going to grow that body? Is it going to be the baby or is it going to be the woman? Is the woman going to eat and give her then it is hers. She is the one building it. It is 100% hers until she gives birth and autonomy is achieved.
Don't bring up biological. You don't even oh my God.
Well, it's true. I'm sorry, but like what's the counter?
It's not true. It's not true. You just saying it doesn't make it true.
Samir, after a woman gives birth to a boy, she has DNA from her son that is independent of hers for the rest of her life. Do you know that?
I'm sorry?
After a woman gives birth to a son, she has DNA from the son in her body for the rest of her life. Does she now, is that part of her body not hers either? The biological DNA thing doesn't matter. Pregnancy in general modifies your body. And if you are giving up your food and resources to another entity, then that's yours. You are building it. You are the one creating and providing the cells that are building up. That initial DNA injection, one cell to one cell, is not what is building that body. It is the rest that that woman is doing for it to allow the cell division to happen. So you sitting there and going, well, no, but this and that, none of that matters, because it is absolutely your choice. If you want to continue putting food in your mouth that gets turned into resources for you and this other entity that you think is a separate entity, despite the fact that it is not. To whom does the placenta belong, Samir?
And the uterus. I want to ask that.
Yes,
Let's start with the placenta. Wait, Samir, did you just say the mother owns the placenta?
I'm sorry, I'm not a biologist, but any cell that...
Okay, no shit, I noticed. Samir, is the placenta owned by the mother or the baby?
It is my understanding that the mother produces the placenta, but I am not sure. If it's produced by the cells
so just so you know, the mother does produce the placenta, but it is the DNA twin of the baby. Does she have a right to that placenta now? So you just said the whole biological thing, the DNA thing. Samir, the reason why
I did not know that.
Samir, not great. Go learn actual embryology and then come back. Because at the end of this, we're arguing with people. No, Samir, stop. Stop, Samir, stop. Okay. Every abortion argument so far has been people weaponizing their ignorance and going, yeah, but that doesn't grasp me. So I'm not going to go and do the education and bring you my fully fleshed argument of why I am morally or legally opposed to it. I'm going to bring you my incomplete argument. And instead of arguing your position versus my position, you're going to finish helping me flesh out my position. And then if that's still in opposition, maybe we can argue. Bring us your final argument, not your opening play. I have no interest. Goodbye. Thank you, Samir. I do want to talk to you in the future, but you need to work on that shit.
I don't need to.
I don't get this. What is this fucking thing of like, hey, guys, by the way, guys, I just don't know how this stuff works, and therefore, whatever. Let's just do super chats and call it a fucking night. I'm done.
I also just want to point out that nobody who called in to defend abortion.
Why?
Nobody who called in nobody who called in to defend argue against abortion today was a woman. They were all ignorant men. Every single one of them.
Oh, I noticed.
Just a point worth noticing.
The title of today's show was "Enduring a Fascist Takeover." Us too. Nobody called in to argue that he's not a fascist. The humanist who is apparently voting for him. I think that was the one non-abortion call, or did he hit abortion too? The supposed humanist who was fucking voting for him. That motherfucker basically, well, yeah, I don't like Mackie. Yeah, well, I don't like that either. Oh, I don't like. It's so fucking funny the way that if you just get a Trump voter to stop talking about Trump, and whether you're woke or not woke, and you just go to actual issues and people and who he's surrounding himself with and who he's putting in charge of stuff, they don't like a fucking thing about the guy.
Yeah, they can't point to
they're glad he's president because, oh, I love liberal tears. You know what? The weakest shit I ever saw wasn't liberal tears. It was breaking into the Capitol building and taking shits in there because you were upset that your guy lost the election. And by the way, watching the transition now, watching what just happened, the fact that Democrats couldn't keep a hold of anything, it looks like it might not, maybe not even the House, but lost the Senate, lost like fucking everything. I don't want to hear a single other Republican actually claim that they think 2020 was stolen. Because if the Democrats can steal anything, you wouldn't have swept the fucking board. Oh, well, you just did that to throw us off. Yeah, because throwing you off the scent of that is worth having Trump back. Get fucking real, you fucking morons.
I also,
dumbasses.
Something that's been bothering me a lot lately, and then we'll get onto the super chat, is you were pointing out how these people, when you ask them anything about Trump's actual stated policies or any of the people he's appointing, they object to it all. It's why it's really fucking irritating to me when the Democrats, following our loss, have been saying, oh, what the Republicans are saying is right. We are too woke. We should throw trans people under the bus because one exit poll showed people thought Harris talked about this a lot, when the reality is these people are not attached to reality. We don't have to appeal to their fucking delusion. I think we ought to start building our own delusion for people or something. I don't know, our own Bernie-esque leftist populist kind of vision or whatever, but it's just so frustrating to me that these people are so detached from reality and we give into it. We're like, yes, their detachment from reality is coherent enough that we should change our behavior based upon it, rather than delivering something other than fucking, campaigning with the Cheneys to appeal to literally fucking nobody.
And to the person who is saying, it's not a right because only women can have it, I also am fighting for Richard Dawkins' right to have an abortion. I assume he'll need it now that he's become a giant cunt. Anyway.
Yeah. $10 from Alan B. Buns brings ratings, Jimmy. True. Based and true.
Hashtag rant bun. $10 Californian from Quantum Chaos. That's right, Californian dollars. As a Canuck, I'm scared Canada Post will strike before my Shuck the Fut Up shirt gets here. As a human, I'm scared about America's descent into fascism. Anyway, get well soon, Matt. Hi, Arden. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Yeah, we do tend to export our ridiculousness, so I feel bad for everybody who gets to see Trump get elected and go, fuck, that means it's coming for us next too, because that just keeps happening.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts on that, but anyway, super chats matter more. I just don't want to get sidetracked. $20 from Dapper Spaghetti Monster. Jimmy and Arden, I love you guys. Just giving a small donation. Kitty face thing. I used to do that so much when I was a teenager. Little colon 3.
Is this fine? Okay.
Yeah,
$10 from Monkey at a typewriter. Always wild when a Christian gets almost offended when they are asked to substantiate a claim, but I guess if your imaginary friend informs your politics more than real people, I suppose it tracks. That reminds me, though, of how many people tonight called and made a point. We countered them. Well, what I wanted to ask about was, no. You don't get to do that after I just ask a question in response to yours, trying to not answer them. Fucking morons.
These people have no fucking values, no awareness of anything that they're advocating for. It's incredibly frustrating. $10 from Kim. Gabriel wants to give more rights to eggs than we give to children. Mothers can't be forced to use their body to do anything for their children, including life-saving procedures. Yeah, that is why, I'm not going to say Matt created this, but I definitely heard it first from Matt, the whole giving fetuses special rights thing, because that is effectively what's happening. You are granting special rights to fetuses that no living person gets. This one's for you. Stop texting your girlfriend.
DaCosta says, visiting family, think my mom is going to steal my Shuck shirt. Should have bought two. Well, you will soon have the opportunity again, but not until after the SSA fundraiser, which I hope everybody is at. It's going to be a fun time, but we raise money for the next generation so they can fight these Christian fascists, and maybe I can fucking retire one day and not have to at least retire from stupid calls.
Yeah, they definitely need it now more than ever, going into fucking American Academy bullshit. $10 from Secular Feelinist. What do you call sodium chloride with a gun? Assault with a deadly weapon. Nice. Hashtag punishment begins. Hashtag Jimmy has a man bun. Pass. Very nice. Thank you so much, Secular Felinist.
Wow, Jimmy has a man bun. Guys, I've had this bun like tons of times. Only people who don't know me from my Dear Mr. Atheist days are surprised I put a bun in. Sometimes it just gets in the way. I was cleaning and stuff beforehand. Plus,
that was why I had to put the bun in back.
It also really shows off like how thin my face is getting. I don't know if anybody else is noticing that. I'm gonna do a lot more incidental arm foldings too. Just like, oh no, am I pushing out my forearms there? Bummer.
Oh my god.
I don't know why I'm trying to thirst trap anybody. I'm adequately trapped myself these days. Myra Bannister says, "Lol, there are those who call me Tim. There are those who call me Tim. I don't get it."
Oh, somebody says I put Salad King on the screen and didn't read it. So we'll go back. $10 from Salad King. Jimmy, you have such beautiful hair. Please make Matt jealous and let it down. Much love from an ex-Jehovah's Witness. You and Matt have helped me tremendously. Like a Pantene commercial.
No, it's whatever weird natural hippie chemical shit Promise made me put in my hair. For people who don't know, Promise's Eve was framed, and I'm just so fucking happy I don't have to cover up every time I accidentally call her Promise anymore. Her name is Promise.
I was asking her about putting Eve versus Promise in the titles, and she's like, well, maybe for first we can do Eve/Promise. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of awkward title format. So we'll see. We'll see.
I would say Promise parentheses Eve.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
That's for you.
Mimi says, because Tim hung up, love you guys. I think this came in before we were asking if we won or not. Since we're allowed to pick our winners, I think this one came in before. But
I did come in just before. Too. Yeah.
I don't know. Did we get a lot of people agreeing? We'll find out. Go
ahead.
Yeah,
no, a lot came in right after that. $9.99 from Carla J. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. # Team Arden. Thank you.
Someone needed to say it.
Rue.
Someone in there. Okay, so I can only comment if I agree with what is being said. Lol. Yeah, kind of. You can only comment. Debates happen in the calls. It's a call-in debate show, not a, hey, did you guys summon a couple thousand people here so I could talk show? It's not one of those. We're not summoning our audience for you, dumbasses.
And it's so wild too, because
your name.
There's a way bigger platform live when you call in. Like, it's so weird to me that people complain about, like, oh, the 200 people in chat who didn't see it because they got muted. That's censorship.
Call in.
When you are allowed to call in front of thousands of people.
The clip itself will probably get 50,000 more views later. Like, fucking put your butt where your balls are. Jeez. That's my new expression.
Sorry, there's $10 from eBugs. We didn't read it. And there's another $10 from Girl Reading. Because we got a lot of just
put your balls where your butt is. Wait, did I say butt where your balls are or ball where your butt?
I think you said balls where your butt is.
Y'all flood the chat. Maybe we'll maybe that'll become merch one day. Not today. We're focusing on money for the SSA. Go and donate. Calder Yulfer says, Jimmy, hands down. I believe that was him handing me the win. So that at the very least cancels out Tim's self-declared victory.
And to double down on that, we have also $10 from Jamnico6. Tim lost. So not only do we know that Jimmy won, but we also know that Tim lost. So there you go. It's done.
Uh-oh, Bruce Wayne, you're about to go to horny jail.
Uh-oh.
For Bruce Wayne in the chat, shooting a shot.
Oh,
if you actually are a billionaire, I bet she's down.
Oh yeah, if you're a billionaire, absolutely. Fucking whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. You got
enough money to buy an election?
Matt comes with the deal though.
Right.
Let's see. Not that that's a bad thing. Maybe you love that. I don't know. Fucking whatever you're into. Oh wow, we're having a crazy super chat night. Y'all are fucking thank you. You're just nuts.
Well, if you're seeing the pink one from Olivia, that's because that's worth like less than it's like $50.
Oh, yeah. I saw that earlier. That's 50 cents. Yeah, Argentinian pesos are the conversion rate for like if you guys get an Argentinian bank and send your super chats through that, we won't know what the fuck to do because it marks it like it's a $50 when it's 50 cents, which thank you. I mean, we still like the contribution, but Jesus.
She sent $1,000 earlier, or 1,000 Argentinian pesos, which is $1. So,
$1. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. That's what Yuka says a lot.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yuka loves to, he'll be like, he's talking in his beautiful accent, and then he goes, hell yeah, brother. He said something else even funnier, but I don't know if we're supposed to say it. Anyway, $10 from Believe. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. # Team Arden. Jimmy won the debate. That's true.
There you go, that's Tim. True. You could have stuck around. If you stuck around, maybe they would be saying you won. But since you left, we won.
Carry on my wayward Tim.
$20 from Moira Bannister. Jimmy won. You guys know I'm also here, right? It's okay. I know. It's okay.
Her, so it's still my win.
I know. It's okay.
Your wins are mine. I'm gonna brighten it up over here. Wow, look how bright I am. That's too bright.
$10 from Exaltia. I won, actually. Thank you so much, Exaltia. I guess I'll read all of these since Jimmy's too fucking slow. $9.99 from Sam Baku. Rip Timmy. Are you ready now? Are you ready to read a super chat?
I hope Timmy rips his balls in his butts and puts his balls where his butt is. I don't know.
Clearly not ready.
Truman Peel says, "Go Team Snowheart." Hell yeah. I'm
No
Bob
Heart.
Snowheart.
Sounds like a special kind of cocaine derivative. We have $10 from Black Helm. I declare Jimmy and Arden the winner. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Thank you, Black Helm, for acknowledging that I'm also here.
That was good charity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here are those pesos. The host beat Tim. Also, Jimmy, bring back Forrest Never Had a Bad Day mug. I can't find online merch. We're going to be doing the new holiday mug. We'll probably release those maybe December 1st. Try and get them in time for people for the holidays. Well, we'll probably actually let us get through the fundraiser, and then we'll probably try and launch them for Black Friday. Arden, maybe add to your list that we're going to try and launch those for Black Friday.
When is Black Friday? Is that like a week after 22nd or something?
That's probably
that can probably work. I'm almost done with the clips for November. And after that, I can work on designs for. So,
it has to work.
Yeah. Also,
I'm going to design some of the mugs too. I mean, I designed all of them last year, I think.
Not all of them.
No,
you designed like most of them, but I designed like 3, I think maybe.
I know I did mine for now. Forrest will have the decision. Forrest can either be a weak ass bitch boy and use the same one. And the reason why I'm saying that is I don't want him to, because I will have my feelings dramatically hurt if he wins again with the same mug. Or you can do a new mug this year.
I also wanted to, if we can get all of them to be like a minimalist kind of like white and black only design. What I was thinking is we talked about having a knitted sweater thing. We could put those designs on a little bauble and put that on the Christmas sweater. Oh. And then, there's a sweater to go with it, right?
That could be, yeah. We might do something like that. I think I might get into me old wood shop and build like a Christmas tree, but it's like a Christmas mug tree and have like all the mugs on it.
I like that. I like that.
Cool. Maybe put a little LED light inside each cup so that it's like shining out. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Tattooed Granny said, Jimmy. Thank you.
You got the trophy.
I appreciate that.
$20 from the second son of Jim. Oh, I didn't know you had kids. I completely agree that Tim lost. However, he was only half prepared. Mm-hmm. Every single caller tonight. Yeah.
Literally, it was like, all right, first help me flesh out my side and then fucking bring your A game. In fairness, we are doing an open call, so we are going to be launching actual debates in the, I'd say, very near future, because we already have some kind of lining up, and I'll probably even join that, because at this point, I'm just too good. I'm just too good at this. Like,
I think it's incumbent on us to point out when they have half-baked arguments, even if it's open call, though, because that's the whole point, right? I mean, like, these people don't have a complete argument. They're all half-baked, which is why we need to do this in the first place.
I just am going to call the head of this organization and point out that my talents are being wasted here.
That's fair.
Yeah.
$10 from Melatonin Ale. Some dude asked me for links to my facts. When I sent them, he said he could argue and prove me wrong, but that I'd wasted his time with unprovable facts. Tim gave that energy. # Tim lost. Yeah, that's part of why I've been trying to work on mostly focusing on like rhetoric and argumentation rather than bringing facts, especially with like trans stuff and abortion stuff, because you can do all the work in the world, but these people don't care about that. You just have to demonstrate how they don't have a foundation for their beliefs.
Exposing their own hypocrisy and the shallowness of their arguments is kind of my also. But then once we get past that, I like to obviously go on and monologue for a bit about
how much evidence we have for our
frankly,
position.
I should be the emperor of the world. $10 for Monkey at a typewriter. Jerry, men can end lives in many contexts: law enforcement, military combat, self-defense of another, or in prioritizing your survival over another's. Think for like a small second before you call it. That was kind of my point. Like, no, your very first premise is wrong. You absolutely have the right to kill people, even as a man, a person without a uterus. And by the way, saying like, being upset, well, it's called a woman, it's only a woman's right instead of a right for everybody. If we're going to get that shallow with it, we could even get even further, okay, well, it's only actually a uterus haver's right. And by the way, that uterus has to be active. So only a uterus haver who doesn't have a significant form of endometriosis or PCOS or hasn't gone through menopause, though I think there have been a few breakout pregnancies there anyway, but most of them. And that you can list off all of the people that at first were just saying women because it's one broad term and just narrow it down. And then it's just so yeah, you're right. Some rights only apply to a small group of people because that's just the fucking way the world works. But if that group expanded and suddenly all groups could get pregnant, it should extend to you too, you whore.
The atheist perspective, fuck this chat. Agree with me or be muted because you must call in to make a differing opinion. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. It's our show. These are our, yes, that is
what
the
is
point.
With these anti-free speech fucking snowflakes who just want to cry and chat because they're not allowed to talk about the way they want to talk about it? Not my problem.
What a whiny little bitch. I like calling people, I like to now use the term whore to describe people who are denying others of bodily
I call
autonomy.
Matt a filthy whore and a filthy slut and things all the time, mostly because it's not, nobody takes it as sexist when it's between us, but it's also just so dramatic because it's not his character. $9.99 from Carla Day. Did Mary have bodily autonomy? No. Fuck off, Jerry.
Good point. Good point.
I like that.
Good point. God's a predator. I said it.
And
I'm probably going to prison because Matt Gaetz is going to be attorney general. Actually, the good news is I don't think he will be. I don't think he'll pass confirmation, but that is who Trump tried to put. And so he's just going to find somebody who is as bad that we haven't heard necessarily about as much. And there isn't as much reason to believe that he fucked kids, but I don't think he'll survive confirmation. I think Kevin McCarthy, half of the Democrat half, they're going to shut, they'll be all no's. And I think Kevin McCarthy can probably get a handful of people to also vote no. And Kevin McCarthy hates that motherfucker. Holmes Uncovered says, Governor Abbott said he can eliminate rapists. What a tale that is. By the same token, he can make men get vasectomies to prevent them from acting out unethically and impregnating women. Praise be. Under his eye.
So wasn't there a new Senate Majority Leader elected?
Thune.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought
Thune, which is, he's not super Trumpy. I mean, he's still a Republican and he's still going to work with him, but he's worse than Mitch, but he's better than most of the alternatives.
Okay. $20 from Dante Verona. This time Inauguration Day will have a massive attendance in Washington, D.C. for Trump. We will see red MAGA hats everywhere. It'll be a grotesque spectacle in the historical record from the Capitol building. Just file. Yeah, I'm really sick of living through unprecedented times.
Yep. Fuck it. Let's just right into the sun with the world. 50 Californian from Dr. Space Monkey. Trans rights equal human rights. Hail Satan. And all of us Canadians worth a damn are wishing luck to all of you south of the Maple-Dixon line. Maple-Dixon's pretty good.
I hope somebody
let's move a little faster. I really have to pee.
Okay. God is an atheist. 10 euros. More and more people believe certain politicians just as they believe in the pastor of their church. They don't care about the truth, but what they like to hear. That's why Trump won. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Yeah, that's kind of the appeal of populism, though. I feel like is this sort of the bad guy is out to get you, and I'm going to help you. And if that's what Americans want, I think we have to play game, but play ball.
Oh, we're just gonna skip. Sorry, Moira. We usually don't do the $5 on Wednesday, but I see that you wrote Jimmy is so skilled at arguing, and then put a laugh emoji. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, so I'm choosing to take it as a compliment. Reverend Nate says, "Whoa, ho, ho! It's magic, Never believe it's not so." There, I have manuscript evidence of the word of Pilate. There you go.
Wow. Also, I usually do a like and subscribe poll. Hit like and subscribe because I didn't do that, and I don't really feel like doing it right this second. $20 from Chris Albanese. Matt Gaetz is a solid pick for Attorney General, as could be imagined. Well, yeah, for as solid as could be imagined for Trump's insanity, which is not qualified or good at all.
he picked Bill Barr last time, who was awful, but way less awful than, so he can conceivably pick better. Matt Gaetz has been talking about basically investigatory revenge as soon as the Congress has power again for the last forever, as soon as his caucus does. And now he gets to bypass all of that and make special investigations out of every fucking thing. I might get an investigation for my trans propaganda that we do every Thursday. We'll fucking see though.
Yeah,
I might also get transvestigated. Who knows?
I'll transvestigate you.
I'm surprised nobody's transvestigated me yet. I don't know why. I don't.
Jimmy has long hair, and only girls can have long hair. So I think he must be really a woman.
Look at his. I mean, sure, his arms are getting toned, but they are very wanky. Dr. Space Monkey says, everyone deserves equal rights. It does not matter what type of equipment you have in your underwear or what type of underwear equipment you like to play with. Just try to be kind to others and try to be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. I don't know. There's certain equipment that I think you could keep in your underwear that I think would take away, but I get what you mean mostly. Your biological equipment, I think is what you're talking about in there. Your bodily equipment, but I take away your rights if you had a. What if you had a switchblade in there?
Thank you, Dr. Space Monkey, for your extremely kind second generation donation. Wow, I can talk.
Very nice.
€10 from God is an Atheist. That is true. For everywhere or just some places? For me, the fine-tuned argument is evidence against God. Because if God is all powerful, he would be able to make things work without being fine-tuned. Deconstruction Zone was amazing. Team Arden, go fuck yourself, Jimmy.
Can I? Is it legal then to get my equipment converted to a switch penis?
Switch penis,
just a little switch. You just whoosh, go right out.
You got to do the little maneuver. Yeah, I think there are some arguments like that. God is an atheist, but I'm not able to think about this right now because my brain is clouded with moving through super chats faster.
Wizard of Frozbaz, a pregnancy is between the woman and whoever she seeks out. Do you mean the doctor? Yeah, then the doctor, because she has to arrange it, but I think the decision is solely hers. True. Or his. Get mad, conservatives. Or theirs. Or whatever else Anna Kasparian doesn't like.
You think men can get pregnant?
Yep. It looks to me like the Christo-fascists will outlaw transgender exposure nationwide and revoke all trans people's passports on Inauguration Day. By the way, in my not show, forced birth is a form of R word. I don't know what IMNSHO stands for.
I don't know either.
I will tell you that I don't believe that that's going to happen on Inauguration Day. I actually don't think they will do anything significant until after the midterms. I think there will be little things, but the big stuff, I think, will be after the midterms.
I don't think that because it's going to wait till the midterms, but I'm not completely sure that they're going to revoke our passports. Like I think it's probably more cumbersome on the system. Although to be fair, deporting all illegal immigrants is extremely cumbersome on the system, and they want to do that regardless. So I think it'd be more likely that they would just let them expire and then not renew trans passports and licenses and things like that. $10 from Moira Bannister. Preach, Arden.
I think I said Archon.
You did say Archon.
Mr. Boricua 10 says, thanks for holding the caller's feet to the fire. Plenty of dishonesty to go around. Good grief. It's not hard to be honest. Good night, you two.
Good night, Mr. Boricua. $10 from Rob Aliberti. You guys are awesome, but hearing the baloney from your caller tonight has made me super depressed. Well, welcome to the club. I don't know why it
became an all abortion show. It was just dumb argument after dumb argument. Like, there are better arguments out there. None that are good enough to sway me, but I wasn't challenged tonight. If any of the abortion callers were like, well, at least I challenged. No, I wasn't.
IMNSHO is in my not so humble opinion.
I thought it must be something like that, but I just couldn't put it together.
Yep.
Dr. Space Monkey says, this is to remind the host that anyone who doesn't know Tim needs to watch Monty Python. Oh, okay.
I watched Monty Python, but I don't remember that. $10
it's hard
from
to promote it now too. The same way it's like hard to now promote like even books that I still think are good books from Dawkins and Krauss.
Yeah.
Like hard to be like, yeah, go enjoy what will become a bunch of fucking old, bitter, transphobic dickbags.
Yeah, that's pretty much everyone, unfortunately. $10 from Gleason on a silver bow. The passion with which Arden said, "Go fuck yourself, Jimmy," made my night. I mean, who doesn't want to tell Jimmy to go fuck himself? I mean,
you know how some actors figure out how to say a line by following around somebody who genuinely does that and feels that way, so they see how that feels into that person? Arden figured out how to passionately say, "Go fuck yourself, Jimmy," by following herself. Abraxon says, "I love sniffing Annie's macaroni and cheese dust. It is good for my sinuses." Average RFK voter. If you don't understand, what I'm saying is all she did was say it authentically, the way she wished she could say it.
wait, who did that? Do we have a caller named Annie? I'm having
I said the "go fuck yourself" thing. I love sniffing. Annie's is the mac and cheese brand.
Yes.
And
okay.
then I went back to the "go fuck yourself" thing without telling you that's where I was going.
Now I understand.
ADHD can't keep up with my autism.
I thought Annie's was in reference to the mac and cheese, but because there was no segue, I was like, wait, what the fuck? What? Did we have a caller? I don't remember. Anyway, $10 from Moira Bannister again. # Team Arden. Thank you, Moira. I appreciate it. Those votes will count to tomorrow, even though I'm not hosting.
Monkey the Typewriter says, "Jimmy Stone, congratulations on your unmitigated victory over Tim." Arden, thank you. Arden Hart, congratulations on also being here. LOL. Honestly, fun show. I need the laughs tonight because I'm still not okay.
Fuck you.
Arden gets to argue like so much more on this channel than I do. So when I do show up, I end up being real loud.
I defer to guests, or to our, not guests, to our other hosts when I can, because I also am not the biggest fan of being the public facing. Although I feel like as time has gone on, I've gotten better at handling it mentally and emotionally. So I used to get so anxious.
I would defer to the guests more if I wasn't better at this than them. That's a joke. Fuck off. I like all the people more than myself, but if I don't talk, I get bored. Hypa says, "Jimmy, I resent your earlier everyone faps comment. I don't simply fap. I'm merely evicting the freeloaders from my body that aren't paying rent." Well, listen. You dress it up in whatever kink you want. Sometimes,
$10 from Alicia on a silver bow. "When the past, present, and future go camping, they always argue. It's intense, tense, intense." Nice.
Intense, tense, intense. I love it. Wildlife Green Girl says, "Cheers from Minnesota. At least we still have Tim Walls. Then again, Tim the Humanist lives here too." What if Tim the Humanist was trolling us? And he is Tim Walls. He was like,
I was going to make that joke, but that was when I had to pee.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I interrupted your joke. No, go for it.
I didn't have a joke.
Oh, okay. I thought I interrupted something and you were being petty. $10 from Jamnico6. Forrest Bug needs to be his cucumber artwork from last pre-election stream. # Team Cuck. # Some like to watch. # No kink shaming. # Not a cuck, by the way. You're not shaming them. Why are you being defensive about it?
By the way, doesn't cucking often require some shaming?
I think that's kind of a part of it, yeah. I'm not shaming you for liking to be shamed.
Oh, but isn't that part like, yeah, you like being cucked, you little fucking bitch boy? Like that's, I feel like, a thing they say.
Well, yeah, but by the person cucking them, not by just, friends.
You're disgusting. You disgust me.
See, now you're making them bust.
I'm actually trying to get the people in chat to give me more money. Arden, I'd love to hear about your tattoo on your left forearm if you're comfortable sharing in 6 seconds, please.
It's really not interesting. I got it when I was 18. It's an Enso circle, and I will get it covered up as soon as I can afford it and feel like I should. $10 from Wizard of Frobaz. "Where can I get an anatomically correct Virgin Mary lifestyle?" Oh my God.
If I was faster, I would have been like, "It's a Deathly Hollows, but she got it last week." Just to stir up shit. Godfrey and Good says, "Hey Godfrey, by the way. Aloha, saying that Jimmy is the 17th best producer on the line is my way of saying go fuck yourself, Jimmy. But I really do appreciate all of the shows. Have you ever thought about doing a BTS vignette? Many mahalos." I don't know what you mean by vignette, but here's my space right now. It's pretty messy.
You guys can see my space. It's messy as fuck. Literally always is.
And
I'm incapable.
here's my skin right now. It's pretty messy.
Ghosts.
Wait, was that it? Are we done?
Yeah, that's it. We're done. All
Fuck
right,
yeah.
everybody, go to our Patreon and stuff. Give us money personally to the Patreon, to our fundraiser, whatever it takes. Just give us money.
I'm Jimmy Snow on Cash App, Dear Mr. Atheist at Gmail, on PayPal. Jeez, just give us money. We're trying to escape this hellhole.
I genuinely trying to get out of Texas. If you want to just send me $500, I wouldn't complain, you know. Anyway, bye, motherfuckers.
I'll complain.